Chapter 1791. Inside the hall. Wei Dashuan knelt in the middle. In addition to Jiangqin and Huafu, both sides were full of armored guards. Villa Master Wei, tell us. With your strength, how did you manage to steal the corpse from the mountain range? Or is it that you have the help of some expert behind you? You actually managed to deceive our entire Blazing Phoenix clan. Huaxian coldly snorted. If it wasn't for Jiangqin, he would have tortured Wei Dashuan to death before interrogating his soul. It's immortal King Xianjun! I can't remember if it was more than 100,000 years ago or tens of thousands of years ago. Immortal King Xianjun suddenly came to our Heaven Province Bank and asked if we had the inner core of the Bathing Phoenix race. Although we have a big family, how could we have the inner core of a spiritual beast? Who would have thought that immortal King Xianjun would tell me that there was a corpse of a phoenix in a mountain range in the southern region? He even said that as long as I helped him bring it back, he would owe me a favor. Wei Dashuan didn't dare conceal anything, and he didn't care if he would offend Xianjun. He directly spoke the truth. So you came to us? Huaxian's expression was calm, but the celestial powers in his body were frantically circulating. Immortal King Xianjun placed a strand of immortal energy on my body. He said that it could prevent me from being sensed by you guys. Wei Dashuan lowered his head, his heart filled with regret. For a favor from Xianjun, you came to our Blazing Phoenix clan to steal our ancestor's corpse. Huaxian let out a long breath. Manor Master Wei, you're quite bold, but I wonder if you'll survive. Spare me, Patriarch! Wei Dashuan hurriedly begged for mercy. Look at Jiangqin. Tell me the reason why Xianjun wants our Flame Phoenix race's inner core and I can spare your life. Huaxian was only trying to scare him. He didn't really want to kill him. Xianjun is one of the 3 great immortal kings. How would I dare to ask? Wei Dashuan had a bitter face. When I handed the corpse to immortal King Xianjun, he directly took out the inner core. Originally, I was going to send the corpse back to bury it, but I didn't expect that my son would sell it. It's fine if you don't know. Doesn't Xianjun owe you a favor? Tell him to come here. I will confront him face to face. Huaxian continued. Wei Dashuan was in a difficult position. Manor Master Wei, why? Huaxian's killing intent surged. Could it be that you still remember the favor Xianjun gave you? Aren't you afraid that my Bathing Phoenix clan will make you wish you were dead? No, no! Wei Dashuan hurriedly waved his hand, looked at Jiangqin, and said with a bitter face. Young master knows this. Some time ago, I already used the favor and asked immortal King Xianjun to do something for me. Oh? Xianhua also looked at Jiangqin. The Bank of the Land of Abundance wanted to devour the Ganges Bank, and they asked immortal King Xianjun to help them. As for the Ganges Bank, they asked the Thousand Harmony sect's great elder Su Qian to fight against Xianjun. Both of them retreated before a victor was decided. Jiangqin cupped his hands at Xianhua and said, In other words, you are no longer of any use to me. Jiangqin, you don't mind me killing him, do you? Hearing this, Huaxian immediately lost interest in Wei Dashuan. Young master, other than me, no one can take care of such a huge business like the Heavenly Province Bank. If I die, the bank will definitely be in a mess. I'm afraid that within 100 years, we won't be able to find a suitable person to take over my position. Wei Dashuan was shocked and placed all his bets on Jiangqin. Is that so? Huaxian asked. Yes. Jiangqin was somewhat helpless. He was already a member of the Bathing Phoenix clan. Wei Dashuan had stolen the ancestor's bones, so he would definitely die. Thinking about the Heavenly Province Bank, if Wei Dashuan really died, no one would be able to take over his position. The immortal jade that was continuously entering his pocket would also stop. Since you are still useful to Jiangqin, I will let you live for now and let you return to the Heavenly Province Bank. However, you have to remember that if you dare to do something similar in the future, no matter what the reason is or who is protecting you, I will let you die here. With Jiangqin here, no matter how angry Huaxian was, he couldn't deal with Wei Dashuan. Thank you, young master. Thank you, clan leader Hua. Wei Dashuan heaved a sigh of relief and quickly kowtowed to express his thanks. However, your son needs to stay in my family. If you dare, I will kill him first and then kill you. Hu Xian waved his hand at him and shouted in a low voice. Hurry up and get lost. If you don't, I'm afraid I won't be able to hold back and kill you. Thank you, clan leader Hua, for sparing my life. Wei Dashuan kowtowed twice on the ground before rolling and crawling out. Clan leader Hu Xian, I'm really sorry. Jiangchen stood up, cupped his hands and bowed to him as he said in a deep voice. This matter has already passed for too long. I am already very satisfied to know the truth. Hu Xian was also a little discouraged and said, You have helped our Bathing Phoenix clan so much. Naturally, I have to consider your situation. However, I don't understand why Xian Jun wants our inner core. Hu Xian rubbed his chin and asked in confusion. Could it be that he is injured? Jiang Chun was also a little curious. With Xian Jun's strength, he no longer needed the inner core to increase his cultivation. The only possibility was that he used it to heal his injuries. However, with his status, he could obtain any pill in the immortal world. There was no need for him to do such a thing. If I can get in touch with him, I might be able to find out the answer. Hu Xian was worried that Xian Jun might have obtained the inner core for some reason. If that was the case, then it was very likely that he would need a second or third inner core. I can. Jiang Chen didn't think twice. You! Hu Xian was a little surprised. I can also get in touch with Xian Jun, but he knows my identity. If I go, he will definitely know why I am here. Now that the Bathing Phoenix clan has just recovered, if they go against Xian Jun, I'm afraid they will suffer again. Therefore, I am the best choice. Xian Jun doesn't know about my relationship with the Bathing Phoenix clan. Moreover, I have a good relationship with one of his disciples. I am the best choice to go. Jiangchen shrugged. Now that he had found Mu Yud, it was time to meet Nian Chang'e. You can go. Hu Xian didn't know about the feud between Jiangchen and Xian Jun, but he was still a little worried. However, Xian Jun is the strongest person in the entire immortal world. The Bathing Phoenix bloodline in your body might be seen through by him. If he attacks you, what will you do? Haha, clan leader Hu Xian, have you forgotten about my relationship with the White Robe Immortal King? Hearing this, Jiangchen laughed. Now, not only was there Bai Xianling, there was also Gu Hua. Out of the 3 immortal kings, there were already 2 immortal kings standing behind him. Jiangchen was not afraid of Xian Jun. Moreover, Nian Chang'e was still his subordinate. For the sake of his 72 lotuses, Xian Jun wouldn't attack him. Chapter 1792. Hu Xian hesitated for a moment. He didn't really want Jiangchen to go. But when he thought about the White Robe Immortal King, he didn't think it was a problem. This person could appear when he was fighting with Wu Yuanba, so Xian Jun should be there too. But what he was worried about was whether the White Robe Immortal King would offend Xian Jun for Jiangchen. After thinking for a moment, Hu Xian looked up at Jiangchen and asked, Do you still have the thing I gave you? It's always been in the storage ring. Jiangchen nodded. I thought about it, and only you are the most suitable. If you can't find out why Xian Jun needs the inner core of the Flame Phoenix clan, don't force yourself. If you encounter any danger, crush the crystal immediately and I will rush over. Although I'm not as strong as Xian Jun, it won't be a problem to protect you. Hu Xian took a deep breath and said to Jiangchen in a deep voice. Got it. Jiangchen agreed and got up to leave. Clan leader Hu Xian, there's no time to lose. I'll go back to the north region now and prepare to go to Xian Jun's immortal sect. Wait, I'll give you something else. Seeing Jiangchen so anxious, Hu Xian was very satisfied. At the very least, this kid treated him as a member of the clan and was anxious to solve his clan's problems. What? Jiangchen turned around. Come out with me. Hu Xian waved at Jiangchen and walked out quickly. What is it? Jiangchen asked Huafu. I don't know. Huafu shrugged and said, but the thing father gave you definitely won't be too bad. Walking out of the hall, The three of them arrived in front of the barrier. Wei Qing was still curled up in the corner like a dead dog. He looked up at Hu Xian and Jiang Qin, not daring to say a word. When his father left just now, he only shouted one sentence, and was scolded badly. "Take him away." Hu Xian looked at Wei Qing with some disgust. He then said to the guard beside him, "Give him a room to live in. He is not allowed to walk around the barrier. As long as he doesn't die, it's fine." "Yes, Patriarch." Two guards stepped forward. He dragged Wei Qing, who was lying on the ground with his pants emitting a foul smell, away. "Jiangchen, you brought back 2 drops of essence blood this time. I've already kept one of them in case I need it. As for this drop, I'll give it to you. You can absorb it." Hu Xian waved his hand and dispersed the flame of origin. The essence blood floated above his palm. "Fire Xian clan leader, you absolutely cannot do this." Although Jiangchen coveted it, he still shook his head repeatedly. "This was extracted from the ancestor's bones. If I were to absorb it, wouldn't it be a great disrespect to him?" "You can't say that. You're the great elder of our family. You're qualified to absorb it. Moreover, the bloodline power in your body is enough to ensure that there won't be any problems during the absorption. Even if White Robe Immortal King and I can make it to Xianjun's sect this time, I'm still a little worried about your safety. After you absorb it, you'll be able to reach the immortal realm. Then, I'll be more at ease." Hu Xian sent the essence blood to Jiangchen. "Since Fire Xian clan leader said so, it would be impolite for me to refuse." Jiangchen's eyes were burning. He had already given in. If he continued to give in, it would seem hypocritical. Moreover, after listening to Hu Xian's words, he didn't feel burdened in his heart. However, Hu Xian's expression changed. He said in a deep voice, "You have to consider it carefully. If you swallow this essence blood, your cultivation will definitely rise to the immortal realm. At that time, according to the promise of 2 realms and the promise of 1,000 years, even immortal monarchs can attack you. Immortal monarchs and immortal monarchs are the biggest dividing line in the entire immortal realm. I'm not afraid at all." Jiangchen smiled. He directly took the essence blood from Hu Xian's hand and threw it into his mouth. In an instant, Jiangchen's body shone brightly. Even the phantom of a phoenix appeared on its own behind him. "This stupid kid," Hu Xian cursed. He lifted Jiangchen and ran into the main hall. Because the phantom of a phoenix blocked his vision, he almost tripped on the stairs. "He's so reckless." Hu Fu looked worried. Ancestor's essence blood. It was the most nourishing thing in the entire Flame Phoenix clan. One needed to use the power of the bloodline to slowly absorb it into the body and fuse with it. But who would have thought that before he explained how to absorb it, Jiangchen would swallow it in one gulp? In the room, Hu Xian directly took off Jiangchen's clothes and covered it with a feather between his legs. At this moment, Jiangchen was like a golden man. His entire body was emitting a golden light. His eyes were tightly shut. The pure power of the bloodline in his body was circulating crazily, absorbing the terrifying energy in the essence blood. Has he always been like this? Hu Xian reached out and placed his hand on Jiangchen's back. While sensing the situation in his body, he turned his head and asked, "Not really." Hu Fu shook her head. Fortunately, he has the power of the bloodline in his body. Otherwise, his body would have exploded and he would have died. Hu Xian sighed and said helplessly, "Why is that stall owner fine?" Hu Fu asked curiously. "He's just lucky. In the immortal world, there are always some people with extraordinary luck." Hu Xian replied directly. However, he was a little regretful. He shouldn't have killed him so easily. Under Hu Xian's regulation, Jiangchen's body gradually calmed down. "He's your man. You stay here and guard him." Hu Xian retracted his hand. After pushing Hu Xian to the side of the bed, he opened the door and left. Looking at Jiangchen's naked body, Hu Fu couldn't help but feel shy. 3 days later, the light emitted by Jiangchen finally disappeared completely. However, if one took a closer look, they would find his skin had turned a light golden color. Not only did the blood essence increase his cultivation, but it also made his body stronger than before. The light hidden under his skin was the phoenix armor of the blazing Phoenix clan. In times of crisis, it could instantly cover the entire body. Even a first-level immortal monarch could withstand the attack of a first-level immortal king for a short period of time without being injured. Fire Lotus just watched quietly, not even blinking once. When Jiang Chen's tightly closed eyes suddenly opened, a wave of fluctuation stronger than before swept out from the room. What's going on? The Great Elder's cultivation has broken through again? Previously, when he obtained the power of our clan's bloodline, he rose from the 5th level Heaven Immortal Realm to the 9th level Heaven Immortal Realm. Now, he has reached the 3rd level Heaven Immortal Realm. How can others live with such cultivation speed? Don't talk nonsense. The Great Elder absorbed the blood essence to improve so quickly. If he could improve so quickly with his own talent, he would have been an immortal emperor by now. Many members of the Blazing Phoenix clan were discussing. Some were shocked, some were envious, but most of them were affirming Huixian. Chapter 1793. When Hu Yuanba ruled, the entire Bathing Phoenix clan was shrouded in a huge shadow. They couldn't see the future of the clan, but now that Huixian had returned, everything was different. There was even a great elder like Jiangqin in the clan. 3rd layer Immortal Realm, not bad. Jiangqin clenched his fist and felt more power than before. He nodded with satisfaction. Following his breakthrough, the immortal arts of Emperor Qianji in his mind became clearer. Even the parts that he could not understand before were now clear to him without having to think about it. I'm afraid you can fight with an immortal monarch now, right? Huafu had seen Jiang Chen's real strength. The cultivation of Immortal Realm or Immortal Realm was just a disguise. It's difficult. The gap between an immortal venerable and an immortal monarch is too big. Jiang Chen shook his head and said, But I'm afraid no one below the immortal monarch can stop me. Even so, you still have to be careful when you go to Xianjun's place. I can't go with you this time. Huafu admired Jiang Chen's confidence, but in the immortal world, there were many geniuses who died because of overconfidence. This kind of thing had happened more than once. I know. Jiang Chen smiled and stroked her hair. Getting up and putting on his clothes, Jiang Chen took a deep breath and said, Let's go. We have to ask about Xianjun as soon as possible. We have to return to the spatial crack and investigate Corpse Cliff. With the improvement of his strength, Jiang Chen's words carried more weight. If he met Tuyu, who was possessed by the soul of Black Sex Sect Master, Jiang Chen was confident that he could fight him to a draw. We've already exposed our identities in there. They must have found us. Do you think we can still find out? Huafu tilted her head slightly. Corpse Cliff won't take me seriously now. Jiang Chen smiled. Yes. Huafu nodded in agreement. After bidding farewell to Huixian, Jiang Chen left the southern region with Huafu. This time, Jiang Chen did not know when he would return. It could be very short, or it could be very long. Due to the increase in his strength, in less than a day, Jiang Chen stood in the Thousand Harmony sect. Su Qian was so happy that he couldn't even close his mouth when he felt that he had become an immortal again. His original plan was to wait for Jiang Chen to reach the Immortal King realm before telling him the truth. Then, he would assist Jiang Chen and allow his sect to once again stand tall in the Immortal Realm. From the looks of it, that day was not far away. After explaining the situation to Su Qian, Jiang Chen immediately left with Mu Yud. Compared to Bai Xianling, who kept a low profile, and Gu Hua, who disappeared without a trace, Xianjun was probably the one with the highest profile among the 3 immortal kings. Not only did everyone know that he had a sect in the northern region, but they also knew that he had a sect. It was even to the extent that the sects that were attached to them were extremely high profile. They used Xianjun's banner to act tyrannically in the immortal dimension, and when they encountered trouble, Xianjun was happy to stand up for them. He seemed to really enjoy this feeling of happiness. Central part of the North region. This place was only 100 miles away from the Kunlun Immortal Mountain. This was the most prosperous city in the entire North region, and it was dozens of times larger than the Ganges Bank's Ganges city. Among them, there were countless chambers of commerce, banks, sects, and even families. There was only one reason why this group of people gathered here, and that was because immortal King Xianjun's Jade Sword Immortals were here. Even in their dreams, they wanted to have some relationship with Xianjun. Not to mention whether they could get any benefits, just talking about it would give them a lot of face. Jade Sword City's Jade Sword Immortal Sect, Xianjun is really not Loki at all. Walking through the city gate, Jiangchen looked at the bustling crowd and couldn't help but laugh. Who asked him to be one of the 3 immortal kings, the strongest person in this world? Muyu didn't feel much about this. As long as you were strong enough, you could do anything you wanted. Let's go. I've interacted with Xianjun so many times, but this is the first time I'm entering his sect. Looking up at the pure white sword that towered into the clouds, Jiangchen knew that it was where the Jade Sword sect was located. The two walked side by side until they reached the entrance of the sect. F***CK. Jiangchen couldn't help but curse. Look at the Jade Sword sect. Looking at his own Divine Secrets Pavilion, it was dilapidated and was simply a place where even birds wouldn't shit. If the white-robed immortal king was behind the Divine Secrets Pavilion, the entire immortal world would probably laugh their heads off. The two of you stop. A disciple in white with a long sword on his back blocked Jiangchen's path. I have something to say to your immortal king Xianjun, Jiangchen said casually. You're really boasting. What's your cultivation level? Why are you asking for my master's help directly? I think you must be practicing. You must be out of your mind. Just leave. Jiangchen's words made the disciple burst into laughter. If I can't find immortal king Xianjun, then I'll look for Nianchanga. Jiangchen didn't argue with him. After all, how could one of the 3 immortal kings meet so easily? Senior brother Changa isn't someone you can meet. Hurry up and leave, don't cause trouble here. Seeing that Jiangchen was replaced, the disciple was even more certain that Jiangchen was here to cause trouble. He hurriedly pushed him and Muyud out of the sect. Hurry up and leave. When the protector patrols this place, he'll teach you a lesson. Is it so troublesome to meet that kid now? Muyud was a little dissatisfied. Xianjun thinks highly of the 72 lotuses in his body. He invited him to join the school in person. I'm afraid no one except Xian Yi and Xian Er can rival him in status in the school. Jiangchen sighed. If he knew that the gap between Xianjun and Bai Xianling was so big, he wouldn't have entered the Divine Secret Pavilion. If he entered the Jade Sword sect, he would be able to get more things. He wouldn't even need to go out to earn immortal jades. As long as he opened his mouth, Xianjun would send them over. Senior brother Changa. While Jiangchen was thinking, the disciple looked to the side and waved his hand. Nian Changa, you're doing well now. You've become the favorite of immortal King Xianjun. Muyud went up and patted his chest. Why are you here? Nian Changa was walking forward with his head lowered. When he heard the familiar voice, he was instantly interested. He quickly grabbed Muyud in Jiangchen's arms and asked excitedly. We're here to see you and talk to immortal King Xianjun. Jiangchen looked at Nian Changa and saw a colorful lotus on his chest. Come in. Nian Changa held Jiangchen's hand with one hand and Muyud's hand with the other and walked up the stone steps. I'm sorry, I really didn't know you were senior brother Changa's friends. I've offended you. The disciple held his sword and apologized to Jiangchen and Muyud. It's okay. Just don't stop us the next time we come. Jiangchen waved his hand and didn't mind. Chapter 1794. Entering the sect, Jiangchen couldn't help but feel envious when he saw the orderly disciples practicing their swordsmanship. When he was done with his current affairs and returned to the Divine Mystery Pavilion, he would definitely reorganize it. After catching up with Nianchanga for a while, Jiangchen asked where the main hall was and walked in. Sitting in a chair, Jiangchen was drinking tea, minding his own business. He looked quite casual. Although the protectors at the door didn't recognize him, they thought that Jiangchen was an important guest of the sect master when they saw how relaxed he was. After all, They had never seen someone so arrogant. How tiring! After sitting for a while, Immortal King Xianjun walked in quickly. Greetings, Immortal King Xianjun. Jiangchen slowly put down his teacup and cupped his hands. Ah? Why are you here? Who let you in? Xianjun was startled by Jiangchen, and he almost flew away. I saw that there was no one, so I came in. Jiangchen shrugged and said. You. Xianjun turned his head and glared at the protectors. They let Jiangchen into the main hall so easily. Where was the dignity of the Jade Sword sect? What's wrong with you guys? Why did you let him in? Sect Master, this kid is too relaxed. He walked in so openly in front of us. We thought he was your guest. That's right, Sect Master. We've never seen someone so arrogant. The two protectors were more aggrieved than the other. Before they could finish speaking, Xianjun waved his hand impatiently at them and said, All right, go do what you need to do. After the protectors left, Xianjun looked at Jiangchen. Kid, you actually dare to come into my sect? Xianjun narrowed his eyes. If it wasn't for Zhou Kunlun, he would have killed Jiangchen with a palm strike. Mystic 3 and Mystic 4 were his sword disciples. He spent a lot of effort to nurture them, but they died in the hands of this kid. Why wouldn't I dare? Didn't I come in already? Jiangchen shrugged and said. The corners of Xianjun's mouth twitched as he asked. Tell me, what do you want from me? Nothing, I just came to see Nian Chang'e and ask you something. I wonder if Immortal King Xianjun has heard of the Bathing Fire Phoenix race? Jiangchen sat on the chair and asked. So what if I've heard of it? So what if I haven't? Xianjun smiled and sat opposite Jiangchen. It's not the first time I've met Immortal King Xianjun, so I won't beat around the bush. If there's anything I want to say, I'll just say it directly. Jiangchen originally wanted to do it step by step, but after seeing Xianjun, he lost his interest. Speak frankly? Xianjun nodded. Immortal King Xianjun, tens of thousands of years ago, you once asked Wei Dashuan of the Heavenly Province Bank to obtain the inner core of the Bathing Flame Phoenix race for you. I wonder what you used it for? Please tell me directly. Jiangchen looked at him and asked in a low voice. Ha ha! Xianjun suddenly laughed loudly. From his expression, it could be seen that Jiangchen's news had indeed shocked him. If you want to say it, this is between me and the Bathing Flame Phoenix race. It has nothing to do with you. Xianjun looked at Jiangchen and asked. Jiangchen, don't think that you can be arrogant in front of me just because you have Su Qian behind you. If I want to get rid of you, I still have a way. I'm already a member of the Bathing Flame Phoenix race. Jiangchen frowned slightly, and the phantom of a phoenix appeared behind him. You've fused with the power of the Bathing Flame Phoenix race's bloodline? Immortal King Xianjun narrowed his eyes as he stared behind Jiangchen. He hadn't thought of this. That's right, Jiangchen said in a low voice. I'm now the great elder of the Bathing Flame Phoenix race. Immortal King Xianjun obtained our ancestors' inner core. It's already magnanimous of us not to pursue the matter. Can't the Immortal King tell us the truth? If you really want to know, ask Hua Xian to come and see me personally. You're not qualified yet. Xianjun sneered. With a wave of his hand, he blew Jiangchen out of the hall and landed on the open space in front of him. The phantom of the phoenix also disappeared behind him. What a joke! A kid at the third level of the immortal realm dares to come and question me? Xianjun couldn't help but shake his head and sigh as he looked at Jiangchen. This was the first time he had encountered such a situation. Immortal King Xianjun, aren't you afraid that the immortal realm will know about this one day? Jiangchen asked sternly as he stood up and stared at the figure in the hall. Xianer, where are you? Chase this person out of the sect. Xianjun took a deep breath as killing intent surged in his eyes. The thing he couldn't stand the most in his life was being threatened by others, and Jiangchen had touched his bottom line. As soon as he finished speaking, two figures flew out from the depths of the sect. One was a second-level immortal monarch. The other was a first-level immortal monarch. Both of them stood in front of Jiangchen with swords on their backs. Master said to leave our sect immediately. Otherwise, he won't be polite to you. Xian Yi looked at Jiang Qin. He felt that this person was familiar, but he was sure that he had never seen him before. If you don't say anything, it means that you're not clean. Jiang Qin wasn't stupid enough to fight against two immortal monarchs. Xian Jun didn't say anything. He didn't mention anything. In fact, it was also an answer. Jiang Qin, what did you say? Xian Jun's figure was triggered by these words. He flashed out of the hall and stared at Jiang Qin. Jiang Qin? You killed Xian San and Xian Si, right? Hearing their master's words, their eyes turned gloomy as killing intent erupted from their bodies. The four of them had grown up together, cultivated together, and sparred with each other. Who would have thought that their third and fourth brother would die in just a few months? Even their master had never told them the real reason. The two of them kept asking around before they remembered Jiang Chen's name. Master, Xian San and Xian Si died in his hands. Can we kill him as a sacrifice to our two junior brothers? Xian Er asked through gritted teeth as he clenched his long sword tightly and stared at Jiang Qin. It's up to you. Xian Jun waved his hand. Now that he's a second-level immortal monarch, you're not violating the agreement between the two realms. However, you must spare his life. Understood, Master? With Xian Jun's permission, the two of them immediately surrounded Jiang Qin from both sides. Xian Jun, Celestial King, are you still unwilling to tell me? Jiang Qin asked again as he looked at Xian Jun. If you want to know the answer, you can ask me when you've reached the Celestial King realm. Otherwise, you can ask for Xian to come here personally. However, you're not qualified to know the answer now. Xian Jun said in a deep voice with his hands behind his back. Master, don't talk nonsense with him. Xian Yi stared at Jiang Qin. After speaking, he launched an attack. Chapter 1795. Jiang Qin was on high alert. The shadow of the phoenix appeared behind his back and the imperial light blade appeared in his hand. Facing two high immortal dukes at the same time, he had to use all his trump cards. Otherwise, he would be seriously injured or even die here. With your strength, stop struggling. Stay where you are and let me beat you up. Then I'll throw you out of the sect. Then I'll forget about Mystic 3 and Mystic 4. Mystic 1 and Mystic 2 looked at him with disdain. They had lived in the Jade Sword sect since young. Although they had seen many talented people, a third-level immortal who could fight a ninth-level immortal was already considered one of the top in the Jade Sword sect. Moreover, in the entire Jade Sword sect, their talents could be ranked in the top 20. Therefore, both of them thought that Jiang Qin was no match for them in a one-on-one fight. Is that so? Jiang Qin looked at them coldly. Mystic 1's long sword was the first to arrive. His piercing cold sword chi swept across the ground. The stone bricks could not withstand the force and exploded. He wanted to cut off Jiang Chen's arm with this sword. A cultivator without an arm was like a tiger without teeth. No matter how high his cultivation base was, he would not be able to display his true strength. Just as the long sword was about to reach him, Jiang Chen's figure suddenly disappeared. Then, a rainbow-colored sword chi appeared in midair. It was aimed at Mystic 2's back. Mystic 2, be careful! Mystic 1 shouted when he saw Jiang Qin disappear. Mystic 2's heart skipped a beat. Even he could not reach such speed. He instinctively raised his sword to block the attack. Bang! With a loud sound, Jiang Chen's long sword collided with his sword. The huge force caused Mystic 2 to kneel on the ground. Even the stone floor was deeply dented. Something's not right. His strength is strange. Mystic 1 heaved a sigh of relief when he saw Mystic 2 withstanding the attack. However, he soon realized that something was wrong. Jiang Chen's speed far exceeded his. In fact, when Jiang Qin disappeared from his sight, he couldn't even catch a glimpse of his afterimage. This was a speed that he had only seen in heavenly high immortals and above. After blocking Jiang Chen's attack, Mystic 2 palms slapped the ground. His whole body quickly flipped over, and the tip of his sword slashed towards Jiang Chen's chest. Seeing that Jiang Chen was still in a state where he was unable to stop his attack, a smile appeared on Mystic Tu's face. With his tens of thousands of years of experience in the Jade Sword sect, how could he be so easily defeated by a mere celestial cultivator? He had merely underestimated his opponent earlier. The tip of the sword swept past and was about to pierce Jiang Chen's chest. In the next instant, the tip of his sword did not cut open Jiang Chen's stomach as he had imagined. Instead, it landed on Jiang Chen's chest. Crack! A barrier descended from the sky. Jiang Chen quickly retreated. He held the seven-colored sword in one hand and formed a series of hand seals with the other. Before Mystic Tu could even react, he was already trapped inside the soul-slaying spirit-suppressing formation. Two chains bound his arms tightly together and hung him in midair. This person is really strong. He's actually fighting against Senior Brother Mystic 1 and Senior Brother Mystic 2 with just a mere heavenly high immortal cultivation. It's hard to say. Mystic 1 and Mystic 2 have yet to display their true strength. Many guardians and disciples were attracted to the scene. They were dumbfounded as they watched the scene unfold in front of them. However, it was without a doubt that they were impressed by the strength Jiang Chen had displayed. What kind of formation is this? Mystic Tu's sword fell to the ground. When he tried to break the formation, he realized that his immortal chi had been sealed, making it difficult for him to use it. Jiang Chen retreated a dozen steps. Just as he was about to injure Mystic Tu, a white light flashed past his eyes. Swoosh! Mystic One swung his sword. Jiang Chen tilted his body abruptly to dodge his attack. Then he pressed one of his hands on the ground. A shapeless fluctuation spread rapidly. Dark clouds gathered in the sky instantly. Mystic Tu, don't hold back! Xian Yi shouted at Xian Er, who was in the formation. Jiang Chen's strength isn't at all in the third level of the immortal realm. If we only want to injure him severely instead of killing him, I'm afraid it'll be difficult for us to kill him. Understood, Senior Brother. Mystic Tu nodded vigorously and closed his eyes. In an instant, a majestic immortal chi broke through the seal of the formation and flowed out of his body. The immortal chi changed, and 12 transparent swords appeared behind him like wings. Mastery of 10,000 swords, heaven-splitting slash! Mystic One, who was beside Jiang Chen, raised a long sword in his hand. As his voice rang out, tens of thousands of short swords flew out from every corner of the Jade Sword sect and gathered in the air above him. Finally, they formed a long sword that was dozens of meters long. Sect Sword Mound Technique, 10,000 swords return to origin and 10,000 swords mastery. Many people in the Jade Sword sect cried out in surprise when they saw this. The swordsmanship that Mystic One and Mystic Two had displayed was one of the most profound and mysterious swordsmanship in the sect's sword tomb. Before this, they had only seen Xian Jun and a few other elders who had gone into seclusion perform it. How does this kid know Guhua's formation? As he stood in the hall, Xian Jun's expression changed from the initial resentment to the current shock. Although he had never seen this formation before, he felt a trace of familiarity from it. However, he could not care less about it now. Mystic One and Mystic Two were about to use their immortal techniques. Jiang Chen had not only attracted a bolt of lightning from the sky, but also secretly absorbed the spiritual energy of all the trees within 100 miles and gathered it in his body. If they were to really fight, the Jade Sword sect would most likely suffer a calamity. Moreover, Xian Jun could not guarantee that Jiang Chen was not related to Guhua. Zhou Kunlun from Kunlun Mountain, Lin Baichao from the Thousand Harmony sect, and now an ancient immortal king. If they really killed Jiang Chen today, they would be in big trouble. Stop! Xian Jun immediately shouted at the thought of this. But at that moment, Xian Yi and Xian Er couldn't tell what he was talking about. The only thing on their minds was to try their best to kill Jiang Chen here. Otherwise, their reputations in the Jade Sword School, and even in the whole North Field, would suffer a disastrous decline. Heaven-splitting slash! Mystic One roared. His long sword, which was dozens of meters long, directly locked onto Jiang Chen's position and fiercely slashed at him. Mystic 2 also used all his strength to break the soul-slaying, soul-suppressing formation. He controlled the 12 long swords on his back and stabbed at Jiang Chen at the same time. Looks like I have to go all out. Jiang Chen's lips curled into a maniacal smile. At this point, it was too late to crush the crystal to ask Hu Xian for help. He could only rely on his own strength to fight against them. After absorbing all the wood attribute energy within 100 miles, Jiang Chen's cultivation had reached the 7th level of the immortal realm. 2 huge vines were madly approaching the feet of Mystic 1 and Mystic 2. Chapter 1796. That vigorous thunderbolt also struck down from the sky. The expressions on everyone's faces changed. The disciples fled in all directions while the protectors looked at Xian Jun. Something big is going to happen. Xian Jun's forehead was covered in cold sweat. He did not expect Jiang Chen, a 3rd-stage divine immortal, to be so powerful that he could force his 2 favorite disciples into such a state. He dashed out, but it was too late. Just as the immortal duke was about to protect Jiang Chen and resist the attacks of Xian Yi and Xian Er with his strong body to avoid offending the 3 powerhouses at the same time, 2 spatial rifts suddenly appeared behind Jiang Chen. Don't you dare hurt my disciples! You're so annoying! Why are we in danger again and again? I'm about to throw up! 2 voices rang out. A white figure flashed out from the left spatial rift. With a slight push of his finger, he blocked the 12 swords that Xian Er had shot at him. A talisman floated out from the right spatial rift and sealed the long sword in Xian Yi's hand. It froze in midair, not daring to move at all. In a flash, Xian Jun steadied himself and slammed his hands on the ground. 2 surges of immortal force surged out and forcibly pulled Xian Yi and Xian Er out of their original spot. They only stopped when they were more than 10 meters away. Crack! Crack! The moment they left, vines suddenly broke through the stone bricks at the place where the 2 of them were just standing. Then, a powerful thunderbolt struck down from the sky. F***CK! Is this really the divine immortal realm? Many disciples broke out in cold sweat when they saw this scene. Some of them had a higher cultivation than Jiang Chen, but they were afraid. They knew that if they were hit by the lightning, they would not be saved. Why are you here? 2 figures walked out of the spatial rift. They looked at each other and froze in midair. In the hall, Xian Yi and Xian Er stood in the middle while Jiang Chen stood at the side. The 2 of them stared at Jiang Chen. If their master hadn't suddenly taken them away, they would have been injured. And if the 2 of them hadn't suddenly attacked, Jiang Chen would have been seriously injured. Apart from these 3 people, there were still 3 people inside. They were Immortal King Xian Jun, Immortal King White Robe, and Immortal King Yi Gu. The 3 celestial kings looked at each other awkwardly, not knowing where to start. That Mystic 1 and Mystic 2, I only asked you to injure Jiang Chen, but you actually wanted to kill him. All of you, go to the Sword Catacomb and face the wall for 30 days. Without my orders, no one is allowed to come out. Immortal King Xian Jun cleared his throat and shouted. Yes, master! Although the 2 of them were not convinced, they still obeyed the order and walked out. There's no need for you to compensate for the damaged area. You've opened my eyes today. You're the first person I've seen to be able to fight against my 2 disciples with your divine immortal cultivation and not be at a disadvantage. You even have the ability to injure them. After reprimanding his disciple, Xian Jun looked at Jiang Chen with a complicated gaze. Crossing the border to fight. Rich battle experience. Calm and steady reaction. 7 types of immortal energy. And being able to release formations at the same time when attacking. He had never seen such talent before. Compared to Jiang Chen, his disciple, Nian Chang'e, who had the 72 lotuses, seemed to be inferior. Immortal King Xian Jun, I don't care about these. I just want to know the truth from you. Jiang Chen wasn't afraid before. Now that Gu Hu and Bai Xianling were here, Jiang Chen was even more fearless. When your cultivation is higher in the future, I'll naturally tell you. Immortal King Xian Jun frowned slightly. He didn't expect Jiangchen to still be thinking about this matter. But he couldn't say it out loud. All right. Jiangchen didn't ask further. What did you call Jiangchen just now? You called him disciple, right? Bai Xianling crossed her legs and looked at Gu Hua sitting at the side and asked. You're asking me? I was just about to ask you. When my disciple is in danger, it's natural for me to come and save him. But why did you suddenly appear here? Are you trying to snatch my disciple away? Gu Hua burst out laughing upon hearing this. Her eyes were filled with disdain towards Bai Xianling. I have to say you've done well. Being able to trap Xian Er with your current cultivation and force him to use his full strength is already not bad. After saying this, Gu Hua gave Jiangchen a thumbs up. Eh? Bai Xianling felt that something was wrong. She quickly looked at Jiangchen and said, Little Chen, tell him whose disciple you are. That's right. Explain to the legendary white-robed immortal king and ask him to give up. Gu Hua added. Jiangchen looked at the two of them. Under Xian Jun's gaze, he said helplessly, Stop arguing. You're both my masters. I'm your disciple. Ah? This time, not only Bai Xianling and Gu Hua were stunned. Even Xian Jun, who was watching the show, was stunned. Out of the three immortal kings, Jiangchen was the disciple of two of them. Together with Zhou Kunlun and Lin Baichao, no one in the entire immortal realm would dare to offend him. If he were to come knocking in the future, he would have to treat him well. Come out with me. Bai Xuanling's face darkened. She grabbed Jiangchen's arm and brought him out of the hall. She asked in a low voice, When did you become Gu Hua's disciple? A few days ago. Jiangchen said honestly. How dare you become someone else's disciple without my permission? I think you're asking for punishment from the pavilion. Bai Xianling said angrily. Initially, he was proud of himself every day. He was happy to have such a talented disciple like Jiangchen. However, in the blink of an eye, Jiangchen had another master besides him. Moreover, the second master's strength and status were not inferior to his. This made Bai Xianling feel threatened. I'm the pavilion master of the Heavenly Mystery Pavilion now, not you. Jiangchen rolled his eyes. You brat! Bai Xianling was so angry that he took a few deep breaths. However, after a short moment, he suddenly laughed in a despicable manner. Did you manage to obtain any spirit formations or world spirit techniques from Gu Hua? I saw that the rune he used to save you earlier was pretty good. If you managed to learn it, teach it to me. What do you think? You're so despicable. Jiangchen also laughed. He had the same idea as Bai Xianling to become Gu Hua's disciple. What are you talking about? Gu Hua walked out of the door and saw Bai Xianling and Jiangchen laughing at each other. She felt that something was wrong. Humph, what we talk about has nothing to do with you, Bai Xianling said with her hands behind her back. TSK, Jiangchen, come with me. I have something to talk to you. Gu Hua snorted and waved at Jiangchen. He did not want to lose face in front of Bai Xianling. Chapter 1797. What's wrong, master? Jiangchen followed Gu Hua to the other side. Why didn't you tell me that you've already taken Bai Xianling as your master? Gu Hua frowned slightly and asked. You didn't ask me. Jiangchen shrugged and replied. When I just ascended to the immortal realm, I already took Bai Xianling as my master. When you asked me to be your disciple, I saw how enthusiastic you were, so I couldn't reject you. Gu Hua, did you hear that? Bai Xianling walked over with her hands behind her back. Hear what? Although Gu Hua was displeased, she was too embarrassed to show it in front of Bai Xianling. From now on, I'm Jiangchen's great master, and you can barely be considered as his second master. When you see me, you have to call me Big Brother. Do you understand? Bai Xianling held back her laughter. Apart from being surprised, this matter was even more of a pleasant surprise. She had always been interested in Gu Hua's spirit formations and spirit formations. Unfortunately, she could not bring herself to ask for it, and she could not study it herself. But now, it was all good. With Jiangchen as the middleman, she could let Jiangchen learn it and then teach it to her. Moreover, she had unknowingly suppressed Guhua, killing 2 birds with 1 stone. F***K. Guhua rolled up his sleeves and prepared to fight with Bai Xianling. But after thinking about it, what Bai Xianling said was not wrong. Can the 2 of you not talk outside? Xianjun walked out of the hall and could not help but take a few more glances at Jiangchen. Guhua snorted coldly and left Jiangchen and Bai Xianling behind. Bai Xianling raised her eyebrows at Jiangchen and walked into the hall with her arm around his shoulder. Seeing this, Guhua was almost angered to death. 3 immortal kings gathered in the Jade Sword sect. Many disciples gathered outside the hall, wanting to see what they looked like. But when the news spread, everyone was shocked. 2 of the 3 immortal kings, the white-robed immortal king and the 1 ancient immortal king, tore open a spatial crack at the same time to rescue a young man who was only at the 3rd layer of the immortal realm. Even though Jiang Chen's display of strength had convinced them, it was still something they could not accept, and even envied. What happened? Nian Changde and Mu Yud squeezed through the crowd. After the 2 of them met, they drank and reminisced about the past in the mountain behind the sect. Because of the barrier, they didn't perceive what had happened in front of them. It wasn't until a few jugs of wine had gone down their stomachs that they thought of coming over to see how Jiangchen was doing. Apprentice Brother Changge, don't you know that Jiangchen came to challenge us? He forced Apprentice Brother Xian Yi and Apprentice Brother Xian Er to use their unique movements. Even the white-clothed Immortal King and the Ancient Immortal King came to his rescue. I was wondering why his formation was so ferocious. So it was created by an Ancient Immortal King. When Nian Changde was brought here, the group of disciples surrounded him and chattered. What? Nian Changde frowned. He immediately pushed everyone aside and walked into the main hall. Mu Yu didn't care that this was the sect of Immortal King Xianjun and followed closely behind. The 2 of them directly barged into the main hall. When they saw Jiangchen sitting there calmly, they immediately heaved a sigh of relief. Jiangchen, are you injured? Nian Changde pulled Jiangchen up from the chair and carefully checked his body. What injuries could I have? Jiangchen opened his arms and said with a smile. I heard from the junior brothers in the sect that you fought with Xian Yi and Xian Er and forced them to use their strongest moves. I thought. Nian Changde said with a sigh of relief. Changge, how is your relationship with this friend? Seeing Nian Changde and Jiangchen talking like this, Xianjun suddenly thought of a plan. Jiangchen, how about this? You and your friend join our Jade Sword sect. I will provide you with the best cultivation resources. Xianjun looked at Jiangchen with a fiery gaze. From the performance just now, he was sure that Jiangchen was the most talented cultivator he had seen in tens of thousands of years. If he could recruit this person into the sect, the talents of Xian Yi and Xian Er would be nothing in front of Jiangchen. Xianjun was also confident that he could cultivate Jiangchen into a real Immortal King expert. Jiangchen was also fully qualified to inherit his legacy. Old thing, you're shameless. F***ck, don't you feel embarrassed to snatch someone in front of the 2 of us? When these words came out, Bai Xianling and Gu Hua couldn't suppress the anger in their hearts. They directly stood up and pointed at Xianjun's nose and scolded. Phew, Bai Xianling, don't even want to show your immortal gait. I guess you're not worthy. Xianjun snorted coldly. And you, Gu Hua, don't have a fixed residence. Do you want Jiangchen to live with you in the bounded domain? Jiangchen shook his head and sighed. He couldn't argue. The Heaven's Secret Pavilion was really difficult to explain in a few words. Jiangchen, what do you think? Follow us or join the Jade Sword sect? Bai Xianling and Gu Hua looked at Jiangchen at the same time and asked in unison. When you tell me the truth, then I'll consider if I should join the Jade Sword sect to rest for a few days. Jiangchen glanced at Xianjun. Xianjun was speechless. He didn't expect Jiangchen to still be thinking about this matter. All right, since you're not interested, young man, are you interested in joining the Jade Sword sect? You're asking me? Mu Yud pointed at his nose and asked. Of course I'm asking you. Xianjun said with a smile. Since he couldn't rope Jiangchen in, then he would first deal with his friends around him. When the time came, he would let these people slowly nibble away at Jiangchen. Xianjun believed that one day, he would be able to get Jiangchen. I'm sorry, but I've already promised First Elder Su Qian to join the Thousand Harmony sect before I came. Mu Yude replied with a smile. Xianjun stared and crossed his legs, not wanting to say anything else. In the entire Jade Sword City, who wouldn't want to join the Jade Sword sect? Even an outer disciple's spot would be fought over. However, he had taken the initiative to invite Qi Nan twice, but was rejected twice. Haha, so you have a day like this too? Guhua couldn't help but mock. A few days ago, when I accepted Jiangchen as my disciple, it was so easy and smooth. After a short conversation, he was accepted under my name. Really? Jiangchen was speechless. He rolled his eyes and looked at Guhua. Did this guy forget how he begged Qi Nan to be his disciple in the spirit array? Cough, cough. Give me some face in front of Xianjun and Bai Xianling. Seeing Jiangchen's gaze, Guhua coughed softly and said in a low voice that only the two of them could hear. If Jiangchen were to tell the truth, he would be utterly embarrassed. Humph! Bai Xianling harumphed. It's been tens of thousands of years since the three of us last met. Let's use this chance to reunite with Jiangchen. Xianjun was afraid that he would die from anger, and immediately changed the topic. Chapter 1798. Under the matchmaking of Xianjun. Everyone had a delightful meal in the hall. After the meal, Bai Xianling only stayed in the hall for a short while before she left. Before she left, she warned Jiangchen not to cause any more trouble. She didn't want Jiangchen to delay his business in the unknown land. Xianjun's expression changed slightly after hearing Bai Xianling's words. Jiangchen was sharp enough to notice it. Could it be that he has been to the unknown territory too? Jiangchen frowned and analyzed casually. He guessed that Xianjun might have encountered something in the unknown territory. After he was injured, ordinary elixirs and medical skills could no longer treat his injuries. He could only use the inner core of the Bathing and Fire Phoenix tribe to treat his injuries. Jiangchen felt that it was possible. However, it was just his guess after all, and he could not verify it. Guhua left not long after Bai Xianling left. Before she left, she gave Jiangchen a few more books about formations in front of the envious eyes of all the disciples of Jade Sword sect. Jiangchen, wait! Seeing that Jiangchen was about to leave, Xianjun hesitated for a while and stopped him. Immortal King Xianjun, have you changed your mind and decided to tell me? Jiangchen smiled at him and asked warmly. No. Xianjun shook his head and continued. You have many experts behind you now. Didn't anyone tell you that you can't come into contact with those things with your current cultivation? The reason why I didn't tell you about it is because of your cultivation. If Wu Xian were to come here, I would be able to explain it to him. Logically speaking, I was in the wrong. It's just that I was in too much of a hurry back then, and could only resort to this. When you see Clan Chief Wu Xian, apologize to him on my behalf. Got it. Jiangchen nodded. He knew that Xianjun was not targeting him or Wu Xian. Instead, he was targeting Bai Xianling and Guhua who were here today. The two of them made him feel pressured. This is the badge of Jade Sword sect. If you want to see Nian Chang'e again, you are welcome to come to the sect anytime. With this badge, you can come and go as you wish. Xianjun stretched out his hand and a blue identity token appeared in his hand. He glanced at it and passed it to Jiangchen. Many thanks, Immortal King Xianjun. Jiangchen put it away and cupped his fists at him. He then nodded at Nian Chang'e before bringing Mu Yu down to the Jade Sword sect. Looking at Jiangchen's extremely fast back, Xianjun could not help but sigh. When he first met Jiangchen, it was when this kid ascended from the lower realm. In the short span of 1 or 2 years, he had actually gone from an ordinary immortal to a divine immortal. This kind of cultivation speed was unparalleled in the Jade Sword sect. In fact, in the entire immortal realm, such a person could not be found on one hand. However, such a powerful junior could not become his disciple. Instead, he fell into the hands of Bai Xianling and Gu Hua. For a moment, Xian Jun didn't know whether he should be envious or regretful. Recite a long song. When Jiang Chen's figure had completely disappeared from their sight, Xian Jun dismissed the disciples that were surrounding the area and turned around to speak. Master. Nian Chang'e bowed. Do you want to cultivate in the sword tomb? Xian Jun asked in a deep voice with his hands behind his back. Yes. Nian Chang'e was secretly delighted, but on the surface he still frowned and asked in confusion. But Master, according to the rules of the Immortal Sect, only disciples who have cultivated in the Immortal Sect for more than 5,000 years and have reached the Immortal Venerable Realm have the chance to enter. I'm only a true immortal and have only been in the Immortal Sect for less than a year. Wouldn't it be against the rules? It's alright. From the moment you entered the Immortal Sect, I've already planned this. Now, it seems that it's time for you to enter the Sword Tomb to cultivate. With your 72 lotuses, you can completely unleash the top immortal arts of the Jade Sword Sect. Perhaps even Xian Yi and Xian Er will be far inferior to you. Xian Jun shook his head. He had seen Jiang Chen's cultivation, so he had to let Nian Chang'e catch up. Otherwise, he would have been suppressed by Bai Xianling and Gu Hui in terms of disciples. This was something he would never allow to happen. Among the three immortal kings, he was the most high-profile. Could it be that he was waiting for the news to spread in the immortal world that the most high-profile immortal king Xian Jun was actually an embroidered pillow and the worst of the three? Obviously, this was not what Xian Jun wanted to see. Understood, Master. Nian Chang'e also knew that Xian Jun might have been provoked by Jiang Chen. But this was also what he wanted. Jiang Chen did not leave the Jade Sword City. Instead, he wandered around the town below for half a day, trying to find out news about Xian Jun from this group of people. To Jiang Chen's disappointment, these people did not know anything about Xian Jun. Most of them had not even seen Xian Jun's face. Eastern Region Thousand Harmony Sect. Jiang Chen returned with Mu Yud. The moment she sensed his cultivation, Hua Fu had already been waiting outside. Xian Jun didn't tell me anything. Facing Hua Fu, Jiang Chen was a little discouraged, like a scumbag who did not keep his promise to his girlfriend. I guessed it. Hua Fu's expression was surprisingly calm. He said that he didn't tell me now because my cultivation is too weak and I can't know. Jiang Chen shrugged helplessly and continued. This is the same as what your father told me before. Do you know something? Jiang Chen walked into the sect and suddenly remembered that Hua Fu was a fifth-layer Immortal King expert. He hurriedly asked. As long as Hua Fu could say it, then all the mysteries would be solved. You know, I only followed Emperor Qianji. Even after becoming an Immortal King, I have always been in the Tianji sect to protect the sect. I don't know anything about the outside world. However, Emperor Qianji vaguely mentioned to me that in the unknown domain, there is the biggest secret in the entire immortal world. He has been there many times, but without a doubt, he returned disappointed. Hearing Jiang Chen's question, Hua Fu slowed down and carefully thought about what she had heard or seen in the Tianji sect. Unknown domain. Jiang Chen was not surprised. His mother lived there, and Bai Xianling was there too. She said that she was looking for his mother, but in reality, no one knew what she was doing. Jiang Chen was too lazy to ask, and he knew that Bai Xianling would not tell him. Yes, when I reached the fifth layer of the Immortal King realm, I mentioned to Emperor Qianji that I wanted to learn more about the unknown domain. However, before I could go, Black Sky Emperor came. Hua Fu nodded, looking disappointed. With her current Immortal Monarch cultivation, she probably did not have the qualifications to enter. It's really complicated. Jiang Chen frowned and said helplessly. It's not complicated. When our cultivation reaches the Immortal King level, we will naturally know. Hua Fu gently held Jiang Chen's arm and said, When you went to the Jade Sword sect, Bai Xiaoyun and Jiang Yuan returned to a space crack. Chapter 1799. Did you find out anything? Jiang Chen stepped into the hall. There's no news about Hikari. The people of Corpse Cliff are collecting the corpses. They must be immortal venerables or above. Bai Xiaoyan stood up and said with disappointment in her eyes. The corpses of immortal venerables. If I sell the corpses of immortal venerables to them, will I have a chance to visit Corpse Cliff sect? Jiangchen rubbed his chin and asked after a while. Do you think immortal venerables are weeds on the ground? Su Qian couldn't help but laugh. Yes, every immortal venerable has a high status in their own family or sect. Even if they fall, they will be buried properly. How can they give you the chance to get their corpses? Bai Xiaoyan echoed. I might not be able to find them through ordinary means, but have you forgotten that I'm the young master of Eternal River Bank and Tianfu Bank? Jiangchen laughed. You mean to ask these two banks to find the corpses of immortal venerables for you? Bai Xiaoyan instantly understood and asked. Big senior brother, please go to Eternal River City and tell Song Yuanjia about this news. Ask him to find me 2 corpses of immortal venerables within 3 days. If he can't find them, half-step immortal venerables will do as well. I'll go to Tianfu Bank and tell Wei Dashuan. Jiangchen nodded and cupped his fists at Bai Xiaoyan. The two didn't hesitate. They didn't even drink the tea that Su Qian had just brewed. Their figures flickered and quickly disappeared from the hall. Su Qian hastily reached out to protect the teacup and shook his head with a smile. This brat, he just came back and went out without resting in the sect. He's so reckless when he's young. He's at the 3rd layer of the immortal realm. Why does he need to rest? Hua Fu didn't understand. When she was at the 3rd layer of the immortal realm, she didn't close her eyes for hundreds of years. She sat in the secret chamber of her family and cultivated. Jiang Chen's foundation was even more solid than hers. This brat fought with Xian Jun's men in Jade Sword sect. Didn't you notice that the immortal qi in his body was a little weak? Su Qian lifted the 2 cups of tea and drank it all. Fire Lotus looked outside worriedly. Hua Fu was preoccupied with asking about Xian Jun, the unknown territory, and the Corpse Cliff, so she didn't notice Jiang Chen's situation at all. Hearing Su Qian's words, her face turned red with shame. She was obviously Jiang Chen's woman, but she was not as concerned about him as an old man. Tianfu City. It only took Jiang Chen 2 to 3 hours to arrive here. After entering the Wei family's manor, Jiang Chen went straight to Wei Dashuan. Seeing Jiang Chen, Wei Dashuan quickly put down the things in his hands and quickly ran to Jiang Chen to kneel on the ground. Why are you doing this? Jiang Chen was amused by his actions. Young master, I was wrong earlier. I will no longer have any designs on the Flame Phoenix clan. Even if immortal King Xian Jun puts a sword to my neck, I will not agree. Wei Dashuan kowtowed to the ground, not daring to raise his head. This matter is over. I came today to ask for your help with something else. Jiang Chen raised his hand at him, then sat down on a chair. In front of him were densely packed bills. Jiang Chen only took a glance and felt an incomparable headache. His eyes were also a little sore. Phew! Wei Dashuan heaved a sigh of relief and hurriedly stood up and walked to Jiang Chen. He said, Young master is really joking. If you need anything, just let your subordinates come and report. You don't have to come personally. The situation this time is a little special. Within 3 days, help me collect the corpses of 2 immortal venerables. Can you do it? Jiang Chen didn't beat around the bush. What corpses of immortal venerables? Hearing these sensitive words, Wei Dashuan broke out in cold sweat. Can't you do it? Jiang Chen frowned and asked. I can do it. Wei Dashuan immediately agreed. He didn't dare to bargain. If he really angered Jiang Chen, then he would have no way to survive. I'll wait here for you to collect. Jiang Chen stood up and gave him a seat. Wei Dashuan didn't deal with the bills anymore. Instead, he immediately ordered everyone in the Tianfu Bank to use some of their connections to search for the corpses. After sitting in the room for a while, Jiang Chen returned to his room in Tianfu City. The fight with Xian Yi and Xian Er seemed to be evenly matched, but in fact he had used up all his trump cards and the immortal force in his body was on the verge of exhaustion. If he didn't cultivate and replenish it in time, it would have a certain impact on his cultivation. After holding his breath and concentrating, Jiang Chen's hands gradually emitted a green light. Immediately, with Tianfu's city as the center, all the wood attribute spiritual energy within 100 miles converged toward Jiangchen. It even formed an invisible vortex in the air above the room. Under the effect of the beginning of all beginnings, Jiangchen's immortal force was quickly replenished. 3 days passed by quickly. During this period of time, there were people coming in and out of Tianfu's city. Among them, there were 3 tightly wrapped carriages that were secretly transported to the vicinity of Jiangchen's room after dark. When Jiangchen's immortal force was full, it was the morning of the 4th day. After stretching his body, Jiangchen pushed open the door and walked out. At the door, Wei Dashuan stood there respectfully. "What are you doing here?" Jiangchen closed the door and asked. "Young lord, I've done what you asked me to do, but..." Wei Dashuan's face revealed a difficult expression. He didn't dare to look at Jiangchen. "But what?" Jiangchen continued to ask. "But 3 days is too short. I've mobilized all the resources I can, but only found a 3rd-level immortal venerable corpse. The remaining 2 are half-step immortal venerables. Young lord, why don't you give me 2 more days? I'll definitely be able to do it." Wei Dashuan sighed and braced himself to speak. He had been prepared to be scolded by Jiangchen before he had come here. Now that he had spoken, he felt the pressure he had been under for the past 3 days had been swept away. "All right, thank you for your hard work." However, Jiangchen didn't reprimand him. Instead, he patted his shoulder and said, "As long as you obey my orders and don't do those things again, not only will you be fine, even your son will be able to live a good life in the Flame Phoenix clan. Thank you for your kindness, young lord." Wei Dashuan knelt on the ground with a plop. "Go and bring the corpses here. Remember to tell your men to swallow their words. I don't want to hear the news spread." Jiangchen waved at him. "Don't worry, young lord. I've already told them." Wei Dashuan hurriedly got up and ran to the side. Not long after, 3 carriages were brought over from the side. After checking them one by one, he confirmed that there was indeed 1 immortal venerable and 2 half-step immortal venerables. Jiangchen sealed them with a barrier and kept them in his storage ring. Chapter 1800. There's one more thing," Jiangchen said embarrassedly while stroking the ring. "Young lord, please speak." "I can give the order immediately." Wei Dashuan hurriedly ran over. "Do you have a storage ring here? Give me one." Jiangchen pointed at the thing on his finger and said. This storage ring was obtained from the Wanshou sect in the tomb of the immortal sovereign. It was impossible to find even one in the entire divination pavilion. "No problem," Wei Dashuan agreed. A few minutes later, he walked in front of Jiangchen with a sack. "Young lord, this is a batch of storage rings made by our Heaven Province Bank. The best one among them can even fit the entire manor." Wei Dashuan took out a storage ring that was flickering with a faint light and handed it to Jiangchen. "Not bad." Jiangchen nodded with satisfaction. After putting the new storage ring on his finger, he aimed the crystal on the old ring at his finger. With a flash of light, everything entered the new ring. He then looked at the sack in front of him. Thinking that the divination pavilion was so poor that perhaps the immortal kings in the pavilion didn't even have a suitable storage ring, Jiangchen directly picked up the sack and stuffed it into the ring. "Is there any problem?" After doing all this, Jiangchen clapped his hands and asked. "Of course there's no problem. The whole bank is yours, young lord. It's just a bunch of storage rings. If it's not enough, I'll prepare more for you." Wei Dashuan didn't dare to say a word. "We'll meet again if there's a chance." After saying this, Jiangchen's figure flashed and disappeared in front of them. After Jiangchen left, Wei Dashuan warned his subordinates again, telling them to keep everything that happened in the next 3 days a secret. Otherwise, not only would their lives be in danger, even he might lose his life. When Jiangchen returned to Qianhe sect, Bai Shaoyan had just arrived. 2 immortal venerables, 2 half-step immortal venerables. "What about you?" Bai Shaoyan pointed at the sacks on his shoulder and said. His storage ring was too small to hold these corpses, so he had to carry them all the way back. Fortunately, his speed was relatively fast. Otherwise, if others saw that the immortal king was so poor that he had to use a sack to carry things, that would be a great loss of face. 1 immortal venerable and 2 half-step immortal venerables. Jiang Chen pointed at the ring on his finger. Light flashed, and in addition to the 3 pouches, a storage ring had appeared in Jiang Chen's hand. First senior brother, try this, Jiang Chen said with a smile as he passed it over. Not bad. It's much more spacious than my plaything. After pouring the things into the new ring, Bai Xiaoyun directly threw the old one out of the door. As an immortal king, using a storage ring of the lowest grade was really too cheap. 3 immortal venerables and 4 half-step immortal venerables. We are now the distinguished guests of Corpsine Cliff. I don't think we will be rejected if we visit their sect. Looking at the sacks in front of him, Jiang Chen's mouth curved into a smile. After resting for a while, Jiang Chen and Bai Xiaoyun continued their journey to Eastern Domain. This time, he didn't bring Huafu along, fearing that Huafu would lose control of herself when she saw the spatial fissure. The moment they stepped into the spatial fissure, Jiang Chen and Bai Xiaoyun were shrouded in black robes. Their chi was also firmly locked. After searching for a while, Jiang Chen set his eyes on an empty stall. We don't sell anything here. Hurry up and leave. A hoarse voice came from behind the stall. We don't want to buy anything, but we have something to sell to you. Jiang Chen smiled and said, 3 immortal venerables and 4 half-step immortal venerables. Do you need them? N? The stall owner was somewhat surprised, but didn't raise his head. Do you know what sect we are from? If you lie, you won't be able to survive in the immortal world. Since we are telling you this, we must have the goods. If you don't want them, we'll leave now. Jiang Chen pulled Bai Xiaoyun's arm, and the 2 of them turned and left at the same time. Wait. 2 billion immortal jade for immortal venerables and 1 billion for half-step immortal venerables. The hoarse voice of the stall owner sounded again. If you accept this price, I'll let my disciple bring you back to the sect. We'll exchange the money and the goods at the same time. What a huge profit! Bai Xiaoyun's eyes, which were hidden under the mask, were almost shining. In just 3 days' time, he had earned 6 billion immortal jade. This was the first time he had encountered such a profitable business. If it wasn't for his restraint, he would have turned around and established a long-term partnership with the people of Corpse Cliff. No problem. Jiang Chen was happy to agree. Being able to enter the inner part of Corpse Cliff without asking would lessen the other party's suspicion. There's something fishy about these 2 possessing so many corpses of immortal venerables. Bring them back to the sect and report the situation to the Great Elder. If it's true, then it's fine. If it's false, then just kill them. The stall owner called the 2 disciples to him and whispered. Understood. The disciple nodded. 2 seniors, please come with us. Another disciple stepped forward and said to Jiang Chen. Following them, Jiang Chen and Bai Xiaoyun left the spatial crack. On the way, they saw many people heading there. About 2 hours later, Jiang Chen was standing at the gate of the Corpse Cliff again. Seeing the sect shrouded in fog and sitting on the edge of the cliff, Jiang Chen thought of the Black Sex sect master. Last time, it was because of him that Jiang Chen ruined his plan. But this time, Jiang Chen wanted to fight him again. With his current strength, he wouldn't be powerless against his soul avatar. He might even be able to defeat it. 2 seniors, please. Seeing Jiang Chen standing there, the disciple continued. After entering the sect, the disciple quickly told the news to the Great Elder, Shi Chou. 7 corpses of immortal venerables came at once. Shi Chou was surprised and quickly rushed out. In the tens of thousands of years of existence, Corpse Cliff had received hundreds of corpses of immortal venerables. But almost every time, there was only 1 corpse. Most of them were from some poor sects or clans. After their immortal venerables died, they used their corpses to exchange for some immortal jades. But to be able to take out 7 corpses at once, it must be a powerful force in the immortal world. Would such a force be lacking in immortal jades? Although he was suspicious, Shi Chou walked to Jiang Chen and used his immortal power to sense him. But he found that the person in front of him didn't even reveal a trace of aura. "Where's the thing?" Shircho asked. "Elder, we came from afar to the eastern domain to see your people. Now we've followed your disciple to the sect. Aren't you going to invite us in?" Jiangchen asked in a low voice. "It's this old man's negligence. 2 seniors, please come in. Rest for a while before making the deal." Shircho moved aside. Chapter 1801. After entering the inner part of the sect, Jiangchen looked around, trying to see if there was anything wrong. Unfortunately, no matter where Jiangchen looked, he couldn't find anything wrong. Apart from the incomparably gloomy and rotten smell, there was nothing else. Sitting in a room, Jiangchen took out the 3 corpses from his storage ring. 4 corpses were placed in front of Bai Xiaoyun. Shircho was surprised. He didn't expect that these people would dare to take them out. After checking them one by one, it was indeed the same as what the disciple had reported. There were 3 immortal venerables and 4 half-step immortal venerables. "Elder, is this correct?" asked Jiangchen. "There's no mistake. They are indeed immortal venerables." Shircho smiled and hastily ordered the disciples to drag the 7 corpses away, then said, "Please wait here for a moment. I'll go and prepare the immortal jades for you." After a while, Shircho came in with a promissory note. "This is a promissory note worth 6 billion. You can exchange it at any bank in the immortal world." Shircho placed the promissory note on the table in front of Jiangchen. "Big brother, let's go." Jiangchen kept it and got up, ready to leave. "Wait a moment. Our corpse cliff will accept immortal venerables at any time. If you have any more, please send them to us. We will certainly thank you in the future." Shircho cupped his fists at Jiangchen. "Elder, I wonder what your corpse cliff wants to do with these corpses. These 7 people are all immortal venerables of our sect. If it wasn't for the lack of money, we wouldn't have resorted to such a method. Can you tell me what will happen to them if we give you the corpses?" Jiangchen turned around and asked. "This?" Shircho shook his head. "This is related to the secrets of the sect. I'm afraid I can't tell you." "Then there's no need to cooperate anymore. Originally, I thought that given the strength of my sect, if any of the immortal venerables of the subsidiary sects were unfortunate enough to fall, I could still send them to you to earn some immortal jades. But now, it seems that I don't want to give you any of them." Jiangchen took out the promissory note from his storage ring and slapped it on the table. "This?" Shircho hesitated. They might not be able to collect the 7 corpses of the immortal venerables even after thousands of years. It would be a pity if they just gave it up like this. However, if they were to tell others about it, the secrets of the sect would be leaked. "Elder, since I'm already here, do you think I'll tell anyone about you? Wouldn't that ruin the reputation of our sect and let the immortal world know that the fallen immortal venerables of our sect will be sent to your corpsine cliff? I'm only asking you because I want you to feel better." Seeing Shircho hesitate, Jiangchen knew that it was possible, so he continued to add fuel to the fire. "Fine, what you said makes sense." Shircho looked at the 2 black-clothed men in front of him, and then looked at the corpses on the ground. In the end, he compromised. He couldn't let the 7 corpses disappear in front of him. Although he could directly kill the 2 of them, he was afraid of the power behind them. To be able to take out 7 corpses of the immortal venerables at once, it was probably not a weak sect in the entire immortal world. Even if the corpsine cliff was backed by the Black Sect, the sect master wouldn't help at all in this matter that had nothing to do with the Black Sect. "But there's one thing I hope you 2 won't tell anyone after seeing it." Shircho compromised. He really needed these corpses of the immortal venerables. "Of course, we still know the rules," Jiangchen sneered. "Please come with me." Shircho handed the promissory note back to Jiangchen and took the lead to walk out of the room. After going to the back of the sect, Jiangchen felt even more oppressed. Even the immortal force that was circulating in his body was somewhat blocked. Moreover, the smell that filled the air was something that even he couldn't bear. Jiangchen was at the end of the line, and he was struck dumb when he saw what was in front of him. It was a dark green pool with a lot of black chi floating out from it. On top of each pool, There was a cultivator hanging with half of his body inside. Under the corrosion of the pool, some black lines crawled on the corpses, looking extremely strange. This is the secret technique of our corpsine cliff. As long as you soak in the pool for 1,000 years, you can become a puppet that can be controlled. The 7 immortal venerables of your sect will also be like this. Shircho pointed at the situation and said to Jiangchen. I see. Jiangchen nodded and said, It's not bad to be able to continue fighting in this way. You can understand? Shircho was really touched by Jiangchen's words. He had thought Jiangchen would refuse to sell him the immortal venerable's corpse again after seeing these things. He had even made up his mind to kill these 2 people at the cost of offending this school. However, he didn't expect that not only did Jiangchen not object, but he also agreed with them. Of course. Jiangchen nodded, but his heart was filled with disgust. He was afraid that such a despicable method could only be used in the outer domain. Although Corpsine Cliff seemed to be a sect of the eastern domain, it was actually no different from a sect of the outer domain. In the future, if you have any more corpses of immortal venerables, please send them to me as soon as possible. Shircho cupped his hands and said, If your sect encounters any trouble in the future, please tell me frankly. I will certainly lend a hand. Really? Jiangchen raised his eyebrows. Of course, Shircho said with certainty. To tell you the truth, I'm currently in trouble. I can't let the sect know, but with my strength, I'm afraid I'm no match for the other party. A plan emerged in Jiangchen's mind. Originally, he came here today to see the situation of Corpsine Cliff, but he didn't expect to have an unexpected harvest. Ka! Shircho's palm made a sound. 2 corpses of immortal venerables without intelligence walked out of the pool. These 2 are already qualified puppets. You can let them follow you and take care of your opponents. They are invincible against immortal venerables, but if you offend an immortal king, I can't do anything about it. At this time, Shircho was completely dazzled by the great benefits brought by Jiangchen. He realized that as long as he coaxed these 2 people, there would definitely be more corpses of immortal venerables sent to the sect in the future. It's just that I don't know how to use them. Jiangchen sized them up. The auras emanating from the 2 corpses were indeed of the 9th level of immortal venerable realm. However, it was easy to tell the difference between them and average cultivators. It's simple. I'll send 2 disciples to follow you. With them, the puppets will be able to play their greatest role. Shircho agreed immediately. Thank you for your help, Elder. Jiangchen cupped his hands pretentiously. I should be the one thanking you. I've never seen so many corpses of immortal venerables. Shircho laughed and returned the salute. Chapter 1802. After sitting in the room for a while, Jiangchen and Bai Shaoyun left with the 2 puppets. The puppets were covered in gray robes. 2 disciples of Corpse Cliff followed closely behind them. Senior brother, it seems like the progress is smoother than we expected. Jiang Chen's immortal force and the power of the Flame Phoenix race's bloodline were circulating at the same time. The speed was much faster than before. Yeah, I didn't expect the Grand Elder of Corpse Cliff to be more excited when he saw the corpse of an immortal venerable than a woman. Bai Shaoyun nodded. Since she had already left the disciple behind, she didn't need to hide her words. Ha ha! Jiangchen laughed loudly. After half an hour, the 2 of them returned to Qianhe sect. As soon as they arrived at the sect, the 2 puppets followed behind them. Grand Elder, open the door and welcome the guests! Jiangchen shouted towards the sect. The 2 disciples didn't follow, causing the puppets to stand stiffly on the spot. Big brother Jiangchen, who are these 2 people? They look so strange. The disciples of Qianhe sect standing guard at the door looked at the puppets covered in gray robes. They had never seen such strange guests before. All of you go in. Don't come out without my order. Jiangchen frowned at them and scolded them in a low voice. The disciples didn't dare to hesitate. They all knew that although Jiangchen wasn't a member of the sect, he had won the hearts of the 2 elders, Su Qian and Su Yindian. Even the inner disciples with higher innate talent were far inferior to Jiangchen. After they went in, Su Qian and the others also quickly walked out from inside. Seeing the two people in gray robes standing at the sect's entrance, Su Qian had just come out when immortal force slowly emerged from his body. Jiangchen they are, Su Qian sensed. He didn't feel any aura from the two people, but their strength was indeed at the 9th level of the immortal venerable realm. Moreover, they seemed to be shrouded in darkness, which made him feel very uncomfortable. Wait, someone will explain it clearly. Jiangchen kept them in suspense and raised his head to look at the eastern sky. Not only Su Qian, but even Hua Fu and Jiang Yuan also looked over. At the end of his line of sight, two figures flashed over. He didn't have the time to look carefully. Following the position of the puppet, they arrived directly behind Jiangchen. Seniors, your cultivation is too high. We can't keep up with you at all. One of them had just steadied himself when he leaned against the wall and gasped for breath. In order to keep up with Jiangchen and Bai Xiaoyun, the immortal energy in their bodies was almost exhausted. Is that so? Jiangchen took off his mask, and the black robe on his body slowly dissipated. You're Jiangchen. Seeing this familiar expression, the Shadow Corpse Cliff disciples suddenly remembered the people who had broken into their sect. They looked up and found that the sect before them was the Thousand Harmony sect. Ignoring the puppet, the two of them immediately activated the celestial force in their bodies and flew into the air. Just as they rose into the air, two giant hands suddenly grasped them in midair and lifted them to the front of the sect. A disciple of Corpse Cliff? Su Qian asked indifferently as he looked at them. The two of them didn't speak and prepared to send a message to the sect. You don't have to waste your energy. When you all landed here, I had already sealed off the surroundings. If you don't believe me, you can give it a try. Su Qian loosened his fist, and the huge hand that was holding them disappeared along with it. The two of them didn't listen to Su Qian's words at all. The moment they loosened their grip, they immediately activated their celestial force and prepared to leave. Bang! When they flew above the sect and prepared to escape to the east, they suddenly hit the barrier. The two of them were caught off guard and directly fell down. TSK. Su Qian couldn't help but shake his head and sigh. Great Elder, this time we gained a lot. The reason Corpse Cliff collects the corpses of celestial venerables is to use some kind of method to turn them into puppets that only know how to fight. Jiangchen took 2 steps forward and directly reached out to pull off the gray robe. 2 puppets appeared in front of everyone. Great Elder and Jiang Yuan only narrowed their eyes slightly, but Hua Fu directly returned to the sect. Such a disgusting thing, even if they saw it, would cause discomfort. Activate this thing and let me have a look. Su Qian flicked his sleeve and said with a smile. The 2 disciples looked at each other and understood that it was impossible to get out of here today. The only thing they could do was to mobilize the puppets to attack Su Qian and escape the moment the barrier loosened. Although this possibility was very small, it was indeed the only way. After retreating more than a dozen steps, their aura suddenly connected with the puppets. Immediately afterward, the puppet that was still standing motionless suddenly burst out a powerful force and rushed toward Jiangchen and Su Qian. Crack! Bai Xiaoyun pulled out her long sword and jumped in front of Jiangchen and swung it down with force. The puppet in front of her was cut in half and the 2 halves of its body fell to the ground. A stinky dark green liquid flowed out from the broken part of the body. Although the upper and lower halves were separated, they both struggled to move forward again. Bai Xiaoyun was about to make a move. Jiang Chen's eyes widened. 2 balls of fire of origin ignited from the corpses, and in a short while, they were completely burned. When the other puppet that attacked Su Qian arrived in front of him, the space instantly distorted and collapsed, rubbing the corpse into it, and disappearing without a trace. In less than a minute, the 2 puppets with the strength of immortal venerables were all destroyed. The disciples stood still and did not even have the courage to fight back. They realized that in front of Su Qian's powerful strength, no matter what tricks they used, it was useless. I'd like to know the situation of Corpse Cliff. Can you tell me about it? Su Qian walked out of the sect with his hands behind his back, stood in front of the 2, and asked with a kind smile. Pfft! The two suddenly vomited dark green blood and fell to the ground. They committed suicide. The smile on Su Qian's face disappeared, and he shook his head. It seems that these disciples know the situation, but they dare not tell the truth because of the deterrence of the sect. I really didn't expect that there would be such an evil sect in the Eastern Domain. Jiang Yuan sighed. When Emperor Qianji was still alive, the Eastern Domain was peaceful. Not to mention a sect like Corpse Cliff, even bullying did not exist. Everyone was afraid of the strength of Qianji sect. Corpse Cliff is not a sect of the Eastern Domain. It's just located in the Eastern Domain. Su Qian waved his sleeves, and the corpses of the two disciples and the puppet were pushed into the spatial rift that he had casually opened. Back in the sect, Jiangchen told Su Qian all the things he saw in Corpse Cliff. After the discussion, Su Qian was ready to see the situation in person. Great Elder, are you serious? Jiangchen clenched the armrest of the chair and asked in disbelief. How could the words of this old man be false? Su Qian retorted. Chapter 1803. Aren't you restricted by some kind of law? Jiangchen asked curiously. Haha, I'm helping the eastern region clean up a sect like the Corpse Cliff. I'm not going to the outer region. What kind of law would I violate? Hearing this, Su Qian burst into laughter. He understood what Jiangchen was talking about. Thank you for your help, Great Elder. Jiangchen quickly got up and cupped his hands. However, thinking that the sect master of the Black Sect might appear to help, he continued. Why don't I go back to the Kunlun Immortal Mountain and bring some helpers? With the strength of the Qianhe sect alone, there might be casualties. Do you know anything about our Qianhe sect? Su Qian suddenly looked at Jiangchen with a very strange expression. Our sect hasn't communicated with the outside world for thousands of years. The entire eastern region knows very little about us, including you. I don't know much about it. Jiangchen shook his head. Although he often went to the Qianhe sect, he only came into contact with Su Qian. He only met the other elders, protectors, and many disciples in the sect. He didn't even know their names. If cleaning up the Corpse Cliff would cause us casualties, then the sect would have been destroyed by our enemies in the hundreds of thousands of years it has existed. Second elder, third elder, fourth elder. 6 protectors, 7 deacons. Let's go to the main hall for a meeting. As soon as Jiangchen finished speaking, Su Qian gave an order and floated out of the main hall. Then, under Jiangchen's perception, the originally peaceful and quiet Qianhe sect suddenly erupted with a powerful aura. Then, these auras all gathered towards him. In less than a breath, more than a dozen figures appeared in the main hall. Standing at the front of these people was Su Yundian, who Jiangchen had met a few times before. In the past, he had only shown his cultivation base of a 9th-level immortal monarch. Now, he revealed his true strength. 4th-level immortal king realm. Behind him were 2 other elders, both of whom were half-step immortal kings. As for the 6 protectors behind them, they were 3rd-level immortal monarchs. The 7 deacons were also half-step immortal monarchs. Their strength was not much weaker than the Kunlun Immortal Mountain. He sure has hidden himself well. Jiangchen couldn't help but sigh with emotion. He remembered that when he just met Su Qian had once led a few guardians at the quasi-immortal king realm to the forest to rescue him. In other words, this wasn't Su Qian's full strength, and Su Qian was still concealing something. Not to mention Jiangchen, even Bai Shaoyun was a little surprised. He had lived in the Thousand Harmony sect for so long. Other than knowing that Su Qian was an 8th-level immortal king, the only other person he knew was Su Yunping, who was a 9th-level immortal monarch. As for those elders and protectors, they were all immortal supremes, not to mention those disciples. To be able to meet a disciple of a true immortal was considered lucky. From the looks of it, the cultivation of the entire Thousand Harmony sect was suppressed under Su Qian's orders. Jiangchen, little brat, let's see if our Thousand Harmony sect will pay a price for making Corpse Cliff disappear from the Eastern Domain. Su Qian waved his hand. With Su Yundian as the leader, everyone suppressed their cultivation once again. I won't, but... Jiangchen was a little shocked. But what? Su Qian chuckled. It's just that the Thousand Harmony sect is obviously so strong. Why did they keep quiet in such a corner of the Eastern domain? They could have done something in the immortal world. Jiangchen didn't hide the doubts in his heart, and asked. But there was one thing he didn't say. That was, the sect master of the Thousand Harmony sect had never shown his face. Jiangchen knew that even Su Qian could reach the 8th level immortal king. Most likely, the sect master's cultivation was even higher. The 3 great immortal kings might not even be as strong as the sect master. Great Elder, is the sect master of the Thousand Harmony sect higher than the 3 great immortal kings? Jiangchen couldn't resist the curiosity in his heart. In addition, there were no outsiders present, so he asked directly. Who would have thought that as soon as these words came out, the smile on the Great Elder's face froze. Even the experts standing in the hall fell into silence. For a moment, the atmosphere fell silent. Jian Yuan and Huafu lowered their heads, pretending to be outsiders. Bai Xiaoyun, on the other hand, rubbed her hands awkwardly and kept winking at Jiangchen. It's like this. Tens of thousands of years ago, our Thousand Harmony sect encountered a disaster. Unfortunately, the sect master was injured and his cultivation was damaged. Since then, he has been in seclusion. It is precisely because of this reason that the sect is hidden here and almost has no conflicts with the outside sections. In terms of strength, the sect master's cultivation is similar to mine. He is not as strong as the 3 great immortal kings, and now he is even weaker. Su Qian took a deep breath. He knew that these words had to be told to Jiangchen. Since he asked today, he just said it. Seclusion for tens of thousands of years? Jiangchen asked in surprise. Yes, if we count the days, he should come out in about 100 or 1,000 years. Su Qian nodded and said, Great Elder, since the Thousand Harmony sect is hidden, there is no need to break the rules because of me. I can solve the matter of the corpse cliff myself. Jiangchen was a little embarrassed. It doesn't matter. The sect master is about to come out. If the big guy doesn't move, I'm afraid he will forget how to operate his immortal power. Su Qian waved his hand and said, Cleaning up the eastern region is the responsibility of my Thousand Harmony sect. It is not entirely because of you. Cleaning up the eastern region? Responsibility? Huafu and Jiang Yuan spoke almost at the same time. The memories of the two were pulled back to the Tianji sect. In the past, Emperor Qianji had once revealed to them that the Tianji sect had a branch in the eastern region. It was a backup plan that he left for himself. In the entire immortal world, no one knew of the existence of this sect. This sect was not only a helper for the Tianji sect when they were in danger, but also a safeguard for the entire eastern region. Because the original intention of Emperor Qianji was to protect the harmony of the entire eastern region on behalf of the sect. Of course, this news, even in the Tianji sect, very few people knew about it. The two of them only heard it from Emperor Qianji by chance. In the entire immortal world, it was even more unknown. Is there anything strange? Su Qian looked at them. It's nothing. What the Great Elder said reminded us of some of the past events in the Tianji sect. Jiang Yuan shook his head. He could not identify the Thousand Harmony sect as a branch of the Tianji sect because of this. However, the name of the Thousand Harmony sect is somewhat similar to that of the Tianji sect. In the past, the sect master had received guidance from Emperor Qianji. He remembered the kindness, so he did this. Su Qian's face was calm. Now was not the time to reveal everything. He would not say anything. What is the Great Elder going to do? Jiangchen did not care about this. The Thousand Harmony sect was not a branch of the Tianji sect. It did not affect it. If it was, it would be better. There is no plan. Just rush over and directly destroy this sect. If the sect master of the Black sect dares to intervene, I will just try it with him and see how this person's cultivation is. Su Qian waved his hand. Chapter 1804. Everyone, you have half an hour to prepare. After half an hour, the corpse cliff will completely disappear from the eastern domain. Su Qian ordered in a deep voice. Yes, sir. Everyone, led by Su Yundian, cupped their hands and left. You should also prepare. If possible, I hope to get Hikari's whereabouts from this sect, but the chances are slim. Su Qian looked at Jiang Chen and sighed. I know. Jiang Chen nodded. Hikari was taken away by the sect master of the Black Sect. How could she be in the Corpse Cliff? Half an hour later. Inside the Thousand Harmony sect, dozens of auras swept out. Many people in the vicinity raised their heads to look after they sensed it. Thousand Harmony sect, I guess it's been thousands of years since such a large-scale movement, right? You just ascended from the lower realm, so you don't understand. It's been at least tens of thousands of years. I really don't know which sect can make the Thousand Harmony sect send out so many experts. It seems like they've really provoked trouble. I really didn't expect this sect to be so powerful. I thought it was a declining third-rate sect. Killing you is as easy as crushing an ant. In the Eastern Domain, when this group of people sensed it, they all began to discuss. However, they were sure of one thing. With so many experts from the Thousand Harmony sect, they were afraid that some sect or family in the Eastern Domain would completely disappear. Another hour later, everyone, led by Su Qian, appeared at the entrance of the Corpse Cliff. The Corpse Cliff had long sensed the arrival of dozens of powerful forces, and the sect protection grand technique enveloped the entire sect. It was a huge skeleton, lying on its stomach in the sky above the sect. A grayish-black gas gradually drifted out from its bones, separating the sect from the outside world. Great Elder Su, I wonder why your Thousand Harmony sect has sent so many experts to my sect? Shi Cho, who was standing under the skeleton, sensed the powerful immortal force fluctuations not far away. His face was incomparably ugly, but he still pretended to be calm and asked. Shi Cho, as a sect of the Eastern Domain, you've done the dirty things of those foreign sections. The fallen immortal venerables were refined into puppets by you. If we don't get rid of you, won't the entire Eastern Domain have a bad reputation because of you? Su Qian floated in the air with his hands clasped behind his back. What did you say? Shi Cho was surprised. Just as he was thinking about how the Thousand Harmony sect knew about it, he suddenly remembered that someone had seen the situation in their sect today, and even left with 2 immortal venerable level puppets. Shi Cho tried to sense it, but he couldn't. You Thousand Harmony sect, I have no grudges with you. How dare you suddenly attack us? Do you really think that my Corpse Cliff will be afraid of you? Shi Chao's face was gloomy as he questioned loudly. It's good that you're not afraid. I was afraid that your sect wouldn't be enough to give my Thousand Harmony sect some exercise. Su Qian sneered. He raised his hand in the air and suddenly swung it down. Su Yundian drank the last mouthful of wine and staggered forward. In the blink of an eye, he arrived in front of the sect. A fist that contained extreme immortal power suddenly smashed onto the barrier. Under this huge power, the entire barrier trembled twice, and even a few of the skeleton's ribs fell out. F***CK, so violent? Seeing that Su Yundian, a drunken old man, could burst out with such an attack, Jiang Chen asked with some surprise. Yundian is good at everything, but he's addicted to wine. Su Qian shook his head and said, if it weren't for the wine pot in his hand, his cultivation would continue to improve. Unfortunately, after the sect master went into seclusion, no one could control him, so he has been indulging. In the time it took to speak, the Corpse Cliff sect protection technique was easily shattered. More than a dozen experts directly rushed into the sect. Although Shi Cho and several other elders could use the sect's secret technique, under the joint attack of Su Yundian and Bai Xiaoyun, these top experts, they soon couldn't hold on. In less than 10 minutes, the entire Corpse Cliff had completely fallen. On the edge of the cliff hundreds of meters away from the Corpse Cliff, Jiang Chen sensed a somewhat familiar fluctuation coming from there. Great Elder, wait here for a moment. I'll take care of something. After saying this to Su Qian, Jiang Chen rushed over there. I'll help you. Su Qian also sensed the soul body of the Black sect master. The moment Jiang Chen moved, he also immediately rushed over there. Let me try it myself. Jiang Chen's mind moved, and an immortal force barrier blocked Su Qian. This kid really doesn't let me be at ease. Stopping his figure, Su Qian no longer approached, but his eyes were always staring at Jiangqin. Although the soul body's cultivation was also under the effect of the immortal force and was almost the same as Jiangqin, but after all, his main body was the Black Sect master. If they really fought, Jiangqin might not be his opponent. His figure rushed forward. Jiangqin's mouth hooked up with a sneer. Just now, he was wondering if he would encounter the Black Sect master, but now he actually encountered him. Jiangqin had no choice. He wanted to try his current cultivation level to see whether he was a match for the old man. What a madman! Seeing Jiangqin rushing over, the Black Sect master secretly cursed. He originally wanted to see the situation of the corpse cliff here, but he didn't expect that not only was he discovered by Jiangqin, but this kid even dared to rush over. The reason why he didn't kill Jiangqin before was that he wanted to exchange Jiangqin's soul body for what he needed. But now, he didn't dare to kill Jiangqin because he had been warned. That person's eyes made him feel cold from head to toe. The Black Sect master realized that in the immortal world, he could do anything he wanted. Even if he could turn the world upside down, even if he could bring his father back to life, even if he could capture Jiangqin's soul body, the only thing he couldn't do was to hurt this person's life. Besides his mother, how could there be such a terrifying person protecting him? The Black Sect master muttered as he quickly flew down the cliff, preparing to escape from Jiangqin's sight. As long as Su Qian was here, even if he managed to capture Jiangqin, this soul body wouldn't be a match for Su Qian. So, it would be better for him to go back and check Hikari's cultivation level instead of getting entangled in a meaningless fight with Jiangqin. As long as this girl's strength could reach the Immortal King realm, then his plan would really start. Don't King run away! Jiangqin urged the immortal power in his body. When he reached the edge of the cliff, he immediately jumped down. The seven-colored long sword appeared in his hand, and he slashed fiercely at the black figure. Chi! The long sword slashed across the black robe and directly tore it apart. The smile on Jiangqin's face disappeared as soon as it appeared. It was just a robe. The moment he swung his long sword, the Black Sect master had already moved. Chapter 1805. Jiangqin, do you want to die so badly? The sect master of the Black Sect steadied himself and looked at Jiangqin with gloomy eyes. If Su Qian wasn't here, he would definitely take action directly and pull out Jiangqin's soul and imprison it in the sect. Sect master of the Black Sect. Jiangqin took a deep breath and stood in the air with his long sword. This was his first official one-on-one confrontation with this person. In the face of this person's unfathomable strength and cultivation, even if this soul was only around the level of an immortal, Jiangqin still didn't dare to take it lightly. I only killed one of your disciples, and you actually attacked me 3 times in a row. You even kidnapped my disciple. Jiangqin looked at him and said in a deep voice, As long as you return Hikari to me, the grudge between us will be written off. No matter what you do, I won't care about you. How about it? Do you know that the person you killed was someone I spent 30,000 years to find and 20,000 years to cultivate? The sect master of the Black Sect looked at Jiangqin. If he didn't want to use him to exchange for his father's bones. If he didn't fear that supreme expert. If Su Qian wasn't here today, he wouldn't have such fear. And Jiangqin wouldn't be so arrogant in front of him. Looking at the young man in front of him, the sect master of the Black Sect was very unconvinced. He and Jiangqin were clearly the descendants of the supreme experts in this world. Why did he have to bear this pressure? Since he was born, he had to bear these heavy responsibilities. For tens of thousands of years he had to fight for this goal. And Jiangqin could do whatever he wanted in the immortal world with countless experts protecting him. He was clearly just a person who had just ascended from the lower world. I can compensate you, as long as you can send Hikari back. Jiangqin's attitude was firm. Impossible. Hikari is the best candidate to replace my disciple. She even needs your soul to assist her. The sect master of the Black Sect also shook his head very firmly. I have been kind enough to you. Don't exhaust my patience. I should be the one saying this to you. Jiang Chen's heart sank. From the side of the cliff, several vines suddenly appeared and spread towards the Black Sect master at an extremely fast speed. Then, the seven-colored long sword, which had been infused with the power of thunder, was swung fiercely from the left. Seeing this, the Black Sect master's whole body was covered in a black fog, and his figure dodged to the right. Crack! The array formation descended from the sky and firmly locked him inside. Hand over Hikari obediently. Jiang Chen took a deep breath as he looked at the sect master of the Black Sect in the soul-slaying, spirit-suppressing formation. The sect master of the Black Sect did not speak and tried to break out of the array. But how could Guva's formation be broken so easily? Moreover, his spiritual body's strength was only around the 5th level of the immortal realm. Jiang Chen, if you're brave enough, come and meet me in the outer realms. Otherwise, you can only see her in your soul form when my plan succeeds. Suddenly, the leader of the Black Sect sneered. Then, the thick fog gushed out uncontrollably from his body, and finally filled up the array. Boom! There was a loud bang. His spiritual body exploded in the array. The powerful fluctuations caused the array to break in an instant. Jiang Chen was unprepared and took the full brunt of it. His figure fell heavily on the cliff, spitting out a mouthful of blood, and fell straight down. In the outer realms. In the deepest part of the sect, a barefoot young man who was about 26 or 27 years old, and looked similar to Jiang Chen, suddenly spat out a mouthful of blood. Cough, cough, cough. The young man coughed violently, and his aura became weak. When he opened his eyes, his pitch-black pupils were filled with hatred for Jiang Chen. He looked up and saw a pitch-black robe hanging on the wall in front of him. Black fog kept drifting out from it. Jiang Chen, if it weren't for this burden, perhaps we could be best friends. The young man stared at the black robe for a while and laughed bitterly. Why are you spitting out blood? A somewhat childish voice sounded. Hikari walked out of the room and looked at the young man sitting in front of her. She asked with some concern. I'm fine. Have you learned all the cultivation methods I taught you? The young man struggled to get up. I'm learning, but I feel that every time I learn a little, my body will feel a little uncomfortable. I don't want to learn anymore. Hikari nodded at first, but soon shook her head. Her smiling face collapsed. Didn't I tell you that if you want to see Jiang Chen again, you need to learn that cultivation method? Whenever you can understand it thoroughly, I will take you to see him. The young man took a deep breath and tried to make his attitude seem gentle. Then I'll go learn it. I haven't seen Master for a long time. Hearing his words, Hikari ran straight back into the room and never came out again. Sect leader, what happened? We sensed that there was a fluctuation in your cultivation. Outside the door, a voice suddenly sounded. The young man spread out his hands. The black robe on the wall directly flew over and shrouded his whole body. Pushing the door open and looking at the people standing outside, the young man slowly opened his mouth. It's nothing. It's just a soul clone of mine that was injured. In the future, without my order, you are not allowed to come here, and you are not allowed to open this door. Do you understand? The young man's voice became very hoarse. Yes, sect leader. These people's pupils shrank and hurriedly agreed. They all knew that in the Black Sect, from the elders to the disciples, if anyone dared to go against the sect leader, they would definitely die. It was said that tens of thousands of years ago, there was a person who had made great contributions to the Black Sect. He broke into the room and saw the true appearance of the sect leader. The sect leader forcibly instilled immortal power into him until his body exploded and he died. Even his soul body was sacrificed by the sect leader. Corpse Cliff was destroyed. When Su Qian couldn't sense Jiang Chen's aura, he realized that something big might have happened. He hurriedly looked under the cliff. Under a giant tree, he saw Jiang Chen, whose aura was weak and whose body was covered in blood. Even if you only have an immortal cultivation, that's still the soul clone of the Black Sect leader. You're really not afraid of death. Reaching out to check Jiang Chen's pulse, Su Qian breathed a sigh of relief after finding that it was only a serious injury and not life-threatening. He picked up Jiangchen and rushed to the top of the cliff. After Su Yuntian exerted the power of space to make the corpse cliff disappear from the immortal realm completely, Su Qian carried Jiangchen, who was in a coma, back to the Thousand Harmony sect with Shi, who had been captured, and several elders of the corpse cliff. Shi and the others were locked up in a barrier of the sect. However, when they saw Jiangchen being carried back by Su Qian, they all laughed complacently. It was a good thing to have a scapegoat before death. Chapter 1806. After resting for an unknown amount of time, Jiangchen seemed to have entered an unknown territory in a daze. It was different from what he had imagined. Instead, it was like another immortal world. Most of the people there were above the immortal monarch realm. At the bottom of a mountain, Jiangchen sensed a very majestic and familiar fluctuation of immortal qi. After realizing that it was Wan Cheng's fluctuation, Jiangchen quickly rushed up the mountain. But before he could reach the stairs, he was suddenly pushed back. Jiangchen suddenly woke up. He found himself lying on the bed in the guest room of the Thousand Harmony sect. Thinking of his fight with the soul avatar of the Black Sect Master, Jiangchen remembered that he had been hit by the fluctuation of his self-destruction and then lost consciousness. "You're awake?" Huafu just pushed the door open and saw Jiangchen sitting on the bed. She quickly walked over and asked, "Yes, I just dreamed about the situation in the unknown territory." Jiangchen frowned and thought carefully, but found that the things that were clear in his mind were gradually becoming blurry. "Unknown territory? Have you been there? How did you dream about the situation there?" Huafu covered her mouth and laughed. "I think your injuries are too serious. You'll be fine after you recover. I dreamt that in the unknown domain, except for a part of the space that couldn't be seen, everything else was almost the same as in the immortal realm. And I perceived my father's energy fluctuation at the foot of a mountain." Jiangchen hurried to tell Huafu, afraid that he would forget about it later. "I'll go talk to Great Elder Su Qian and let him check your injuries. If it doesn't work, we can only ask Old Man Lin to send some medicine from the Heaven and Earth Pharmacy." Huafu was more worried about Jiangchen's injuries at this time. "Okay." Jiangchen didn't think too much about it. He just thought that he missed Wanqing too much. On the mountain peak, Wancheng was laughing on the bed. Beside him, a woman as gentle as water was glaring at him. Even if she was angry, she still gave people a very gentle feeling. "Is it fun?" the woman asked. "I sensed that my son was heavily injured and wanted to ask him to come here and ask about the situation." Noticing that the woman seemed to be really angry, Wancheng's smile froze on his face. He stood up and lowered his head. "You're harming Jiangchen by letting him in." The woman reached out to grab Wancheng's ear and whispered into his ear. "I'm telling you, he's learned too many bad habits from you. If he doesn't go through some hardships, he won't be able to achieve anything." Okay. He came out of your stomach. I'll listen to you. Wancheng kept sucking in cold air. "At least you know your place. But let me tell you, Bai Xianling is about to break through the barrier of the unknown domain. If it wasn't for your son calling him back several times, I'm afraid he would have already appeared at the entrance of the sect." Letting go of his hand, the woman took 2 steps forward and looked at the scenery below. Jiangchen's spirit body was pulled over by Wanqing. She saw that the immortal monarchs and even immortal kings were all experts in her sect. Fortunately, she reacted in time and beat Jiangchen back. The unknown domain was another world in the immortal world. But below, except for a few people who knew about it, the others didn't even have the qualifications to come into contact with the unknown domain, let alone understand the situation inside. And only by breaking through the barrier, establishing a firm foothold here and establishing a sect, would they have the opportunity to develop their own forces and bring the people they wanted to bring up. "Why are you abandoning me?" Wancheng was a little nervous. "I'm abandoning you, my ass." The woman turned her head, put her hands on her hips and questioned. "Wancheng, let me ask you, other than you, what other man have I been in contact with? If you're going to be like this, then don't enjoy your life here. It's better for you to return to your Kunlun immortal mountain and be sealed. Wife, I'm wrong. Wan Cheng smiled cheekily and went forward to hug the woman in his arms shamelessly. His injuries are not light, he needs a long time to recuperate. Su Qian felt Jiang Chen's pulse and looked at Jiang Chun with some disdain. If he had followed him back then, he wouldn't have fallen to such a state. Great Elder, the Black sect leader's soul clone was forced to self-destruct by me. Jiang Chun grinned. Even when he had fought against Xian Yi and Xian Er alone in the Jade Sword School, he hadn't been at a disadvantage. And his soul clone self-destructed and almost killed you. Don't tell me you're not going to save Hikari? Hearing this, Su Qian was even more disdainful. Jiang Chen's interest waned, and the smile on his face disappeared. I've questioned him and asked him to hand Hikari over. Taking a deep breath, Jiang Chen said in a low voice. He said I killed his disciple, and Hikari is this disciple's replacement. Also, he mentioned that he needs my soul clone again. But I'm a little curious, since he needs it, why didn't he make a move on me directly? Maybe it's because of the promise of 2 realms and the promise of 1,000 years. Su Qian didn't know the relationship between Jiang Chen, Bai Xianling, and Gu Hua, so he could only guess. If he dares to do anything to Hikari, I will not let him go. Jiang Chen gritted his teeth and punched the bed. When Jiang Chen was recuperating, Su Qian, Bai Xiaoyun, and the others had interrogated Shi Chou and the other elders several times. As for the matter of Corpse Cliff, as long as Su Qian asked, Shi Chou would tell him directly. Anyway, now that the sect was destroyed, even if he told Su Qian, nothing would happen. But as for the matter of Black Sect, Shi Chou kept his mouth shut. Even if Su Qian destroyed his body, even if Hufu burned him with the flame of origin and endured great pain, Shi Chou didn't say a word. Time passed day by day. Although Jiang Chen was injured, he also experienced a leisurely life. Every day, other than sitting on the bed in a daze, he would find a random Qian He sect disciple to brag to them. At the same time, he would think about the words of Black sect master and the unknown realm in his dream. After so long, Jiang Chen had almost forgotten everything. The only thing he remembered was that under a mountain, he sensed Wan Cheng's cultivation. But thinking about it, Jiang Chen also felt that it was just a dream. Even Bai Xianling said that it was very dangerous. His father was just an immortal lord, how could he be there? This old fart might be having fun somewhere in the immortal realm, and owe a lot of debt. Maybe tomorrow, another bank would come to Kunlun Immortal Mountain to collect the debt. There's a message from Kunlun Immortal Mountain, asking about your current situation. When Jiang Chen was in seclusion to study the formation books given by Gu Hua, Bai Xiaoyun pushed the door open and walked in. You told them? Jiang Chen looked nervous. Chapter 1807. If Xian Yu and Bai Fingyu knew that he was seriously injured, they would probably rush over. He didn't say anything. The mountain gate found out that there are 3 sect masters in the north region. They gathered together and seemed to be discussing something. The first mountain master thinks that they might be subsects of the Black sect. He has already sent people to investigate. Bai Xiaoyun shook her head and said, Maybe we destroyed the Black Cloud sect and Corpse Cliff, and even subdued the Citra family, which made the Black sect master a little worried that the subsects would be found out and eliminated by us. Jiang Chen wasn't surprised by the news. But now that they've gathered together, they've been exposed. Yes, let's see if we can find any information from these sections. Bai Xiaoyun nodded. Is there anything else? Jiang Chen asked when he saw Bai Xian's worried look. 6 of the 18 mountains in the overseas Immortal Mountains have rebelled. Bai Xiaoyun continued to nod. Rebelled? This news surprised Jiang Chen. Back then, this group of people was beaten into submission by the Divine Secret Pavilion. How could they dare to rebel? Master left the sect for an unknown territory, and you, the sect master, are not in the pavilion. Even the list was updated after I asked the junior brothers to find a new junior brother to take over your job. As for me, your senior brother, he has been accompanying you for a long time and hasn't appeared in the sect for a long time. I heard from Xiaolan that these 6 sects gradually became rebellious after they didn't find us several times in a row. Finally, they completely broke away from our control. Now, these 6 mountains have joined forces and are ready to deal with us at any time. Bai Xiaoyan held her head. Who would have thought that after coming out with Jiangchen for so long, the backyard of the sect was on fire? Jiangchen lay on the bed helplessly. Now that there were so many complicated things in front of him, he really didn't have the mood to care about the overseas immortal mountains. I've already asked Xiaolan to bring her junior brothers and sisters to deal with it. However, Jiangchen, back then, there were only a few immortal kings who followed you out of the immortal mountains. They know of your strength, but the others don't. I'm worried that if 6 immortal mountains break away, there might be a 7th or 8th. If we weren't here, the junior brothers and sisters in the pavilion might not be a match for them. Bai Xiaoyan frowned as she analyzed. Although Jiangchen was the sect master, he knew that his junior brother's thoughts were not on the sect at all. As the eldest senior brother, of course he had to support the sect. Then let's go back. Jiangchen turned over and got off the bed. Not for the time being. You should recuperate first and see if Xiaolan can handle it. If she can't, she will send me a message. It won't be too late for us to go back then. Bai Xiaoyan stretched out her hand and pressed Jiangchen on the bed. All right, I'll listen to you. Jiangchen felt pain as soon as he got up. He followed Bai Xiaoyan's instructions and continued to lie down. Bai Xiaoyan stayed in the room for a while, then pushed the door open and left. Jiangchen continued to look at the formation. With his current cultivation, he could only do as he pleased in the immortal world with the support of the experts behind him. However, it was still not as good as raising his own cultivation. Nearly 100 days passed. Jiangchen's injuries had almost recovered. He had also gradually comprehended the tactical formation books Guhua had given him. He was able to put them to good use. There was no new news from Kunlun Immortal Mountain. When Jiangchen went to ask Bai Xiaoyan about the situation of the Immortal Mountains overseas, she refused to say anything. She insisted on waiting until Jiangchen's cultivation had completely recovered before telling him. Jiangchen didn't pursue the matter. He guessed that it wasn't a big deal. If the experts of the 6 mountains really dared to hurt Bai Xiaolan or even attack the Tianji Pavilion, then Bai Xiaoyan wouldn't be able to stay in the Thousand Harmony sect so easily. From the initial relaxed state, Jiangchen felt a little bored now. He even missed Bai Fengyu and Xianyu. However, before his injuries recovered, he couldn't return to Kunlun Immortal Mountain. Therefore, Jiangchen found a way to pass the time. That was to find the deacons of the Thousand Harmony sect. This group of people were all half-step immortal monarchs. They were suitable test subjects. These protectors were afraid of hurting the injured Jiangchen again. They were also afraid of restraining their strength too much and making Jiangchen feel bored. They all had a headache and couldn't wait to leave the sect and hide for a few days. Unfortunately, due to Su Qian's power, they could only submit. During the practice with these deacons, Jiangchen's mastery of the formation became more and more perfect. Even his injuries gradually recovered. The most effective thing that could heal his injuries in such a short time was the wood attribute immortal technique. Relying on the ability to absorb the wood attribute immortal energy nearby, Jiangchen's injuries recovered faster. It was so fast that even Su Qian was a little surprised. When Jiangchen's injuries were completely healed, a piece of news coincidentally came. Tianji Pavilion. There was trouble. Bai Xiaolan led 3 junior brothers and sisters to visit the 6 mountains. In the end, they were jointly detained. Hearing the news, Bai Xiaoyan immediately jumped up. Jiangchen also couldn't bear it. The 2 of them hit it off and immediately prepared to return to the Tianji Pavilion to settle this matter. If the 6 mountains could apologize, they could accept it. However, if they insisted on not returning, then there was no need for them to continue existing. Don't be impulsive! Su Qian also received the news from the Tianji Pavilion. He was afraid that Jiang Chen might lose his mind under impulse, just like how he was seriously injured when facing the soul clone of the Black Sect Master. Don't worry, Grand Elder. The Immortal Mountains overseas are no match for me. Jiang Chen smiled faintly. Fire Lotus Jiang Yuan, please come with me. Bai Xiaoyun looked at the two people sitting in the hall and asked in a deep voice. No problem. The two of them agreed at the same time. Even if it wasn't for Jiang Chen's face, they wouldn't stand idly by just because of the time they spent with Bai Xiaoyun. Grand Elder, Shi Chou and the others wait for me to come back and interrogate them. Jiang Chen cupped his hands and bid farewell to Su Qian. The four of them turned into flowing light, and quickly left the Thousand Harmony sect. Be careful! Su Qian quickly followed and shouted at the afterimages in the sky. When the four of them were completely out of sight, he hurriedly returned to the sect. Where's Elder Yunding? After searching for a while, Su Qian couldn't find Su Yunding, so he grabbed a deacon and asked quickly. When Jiang Chen and the others left, Elder Yunding also left. He said that he had something to deal with. The deacon had never seen Su Qian so anxious before and could only answer quickly. Phew! Hearing this, Su Qian was relieved. He knew that Su Yunding must have gone out to protect Jiang Chen. Chapter 1808. At this moment, Su Yundian was flying towards the northern region. He was some distance away from Jiang Chen and the other three, so that he would not be discovered, but he would not lose them. Lying in the air, Su Yundian's figure flashed past, but he was drinking from a wine pot in his hand. As he drank, he glanced at the place where Qianhe sect was. He could guess that Su Qian was in the sect, looking for him. By the time you inform me, I'm afraid you'll be long gone. Touching the beard on his chin, Su Yundian said with a chuckle. From Qianhe's sect to Heavenly's secret pavilion, the four of them only took half a day. After arriving, looking at the somewhat deserted courtyard, Jiang Chen could not help but sigh. Bai Xianling had left, Bai Xiaoyun had left, and his sect had not been around. The entire sect seemed to have lost its look. However, after sensing the two familiar auras, many disciples ran out from inside. Jiang Chen, Bai Xiaoyun, and some of the more sensitive junior sisters burst into tears on the spot. The junior brothers also kept sighing. All of you, pull yourself together. You are the disciples of Heavenly's secret pavilion, the inheritors of white-robed immortal king's legacy, and my junior brothers. Bai Xiaoyun frowned and sternly reprimanded them. Sect leader, eldest senior brother, after senior sister Xiaolan received the news of you, she brought a few immortal king's senior brothers to the overseas immortal mountain. She has not returned for more than 10 days. We are worried that. A junior brother in the first layer of the immortal king realm stepped forward and cupped his hands towards Jiang Chen and Bai Xiaoyun. Look at you now, do you still look like an immortal king? Bai Xiaoyun punched him on the shoulder. If I see you like this in the future, get out of Heavenly's secret pavilion, understand? Understood, eldest senior brother. This person straightened his back, and the expression on his face disappeared. He wasn't the only one. All of the Heavenly Secrets Pavilion's disciples were standing ramrod straight. As for the female disciples, they wiped away their tears. Everyone quietly waited for Jiang Chen and Bai Xiaoyun to speak. Everyone, immediately follow sect leader and me to the overseas immortal mountain. They said that if anyone dares to hurt Bai Xiaolan or anyone from Heavenly's secret pavilion, we will wash their 6 mountains with blood. Bai Xiaoyun nodded in satisfaction when she saw that the atmosphere had been lifted. Follow me! Jiang Chen turned around and walked out of the Heavenly Secrets Pavilion. Bai Xiaoyun followed closely behind. The other disciples were very self-aware. The male disciples followed Jiang Yuan, while the female disciples followed Huafu. The group of people left in a grandiose manner. None of them hid their auras. This strength was even stronger than when the Thousand Harmony sect went to destroy the Yin Corpse Cliff. However, most of the immortal kings of the Divination Pavilion were just idling around in the pavilion. They had relied on Bai Xianling to advance to the immortal king realm. Other than Bai Xiaoyun, Bai Xiaolan and a few others, the rest of them did not have any actual combat experience. At most, they would spar with their fellow disciples in the sect every day. Therefore, without the command of Bai Xianling and Bai Xiaoyun, they lost their sense of propriety in this matter. This majestic force swept straight to the immortal mountains in the outer seas. Looking at the 18 towering mountains, Bai Xiaoyun stopped in midair and asked, "Do you know where Xiaolan and the other junior brothers and sisters are trapped?" "There." One of the junior brothers pointed at the mountain furthest away. "Illusory Beast Mountain." Looking at the mountain that was faintly showing the shape of a beast, Bai Xiaoyun said indifferently, "Then let's start with this sect." The group of people uniformly landed on the mountain. When the aura spread out, some of the weaker chairs in the Illusory Beast Mountain could not withstand the terrifying pressure and knelt down on the ground. "Who is it? How dare you break into our sect?" When they sensed the aura, several people walked out from the main hall in front of them. The one walking at the front was the sect leader of the Illusory Beast sect, Gao Yuan. Jiang Chen stepped forward, looked at him and said, "For the sake of your Illusory Beast sect relying on us in the past, hand over Bai Xiaolan and the other disciples of the Divination Pavilion, and we can spare your sect this time." "Ouch!" Seeing Jiang Chen, Gao Yuan laughed out loud. "I was wondering who it was. So it's the leader of our Outer Seas Immortal Mountain Alliance." He did not put Jiang Chen in his eyes at all. When the White Robe Immortal King was still here, he was a little afraid. But now, the White Robe Immortal King had disappeared for so long. He did not even appear when they left the Alliance and the Divination Pavilion, and even attacked the disciples of the Divination Pavilion. Therefore, they naturally believed that the White Robe Immortal King had either given up on the Heaven's Secret Pavilion or died outside. Of course, Gao Yuan was more inclined to the first point. He thought that the White Robe Immortal King must have seen that the Divination Pavilion was too poor and directly gave up. "You still know that I'm the leader?" Jiang Chen sneered. "Taking advantage of my absence, you dare to rebel. Do you think I can't deal with you? A mere third-layer Immortal Realm cultivator is really talking nonsense. Gao Yi, let him see the power of our Illusory Beast sect." With a wave of Gao Yuan's hand, a black shadow flew out of the hall and fell to the ground. Bai Xiaoyun lowered her voice and said to Jiang Chen, "If I remember correctly, Gao Yi's strength is enough to rank in the top 5 in the Illusory Beast sect. He is a 6th-layer Immortal Monarch Realm cultivator. Coupled with the sect's unique immortal technique, I'm afraid he's around the Immortal King realm. I don't need to do anything." Jiang Chen's expression was relaxed. As he spoke, Gao Yi had already used an immortal technique. His entire body rapidly expanded, and he turned into a black bear. As he roared, even the ground trembled. "Let me see if you really have the ability." Jiang Chen also roared behind him. A shadow appeared. Jiang Chen returned to his original body and stepped in front of Jiang Chen. An immortal ape? Seeing the giant beast suddenly appear in front of Jiang Chen, not only Gao Yi, but also Gao Yuan's heart trembled. They didn't expect Jiang Chen to have a spirit beast by his side. In the immortal realm, the 6 great spirit beast clans in the southern region were the only remaining spirit beast clans from ancient times. They had the ability to suppress the bloodline of any spirit beast in the world. Although Gao Yi used his immortal technique to transform, after thousands of years of cultivation, when he turned into a black bear, he was almost no different from a real spirit beast. Naturally, he would be suppressed by the bloodline. Gao Yuan raised his head and asked worriedly, "Can you withstand it?" "It shouldn't be a problem." Gao Yi stared at Jiang Yuan. Although his bloodline prevented him from using his true strength, his cultivation had already risen to the quasi-immortal king realm. However, the immortal ape in front of him had only reached the 5th layer of the immortal king realm. The difference in strength gave him a lot of confidence. He even had the illusion that he could trample Jiang Yuan underfoot. Chapter 1809. There's still a gap between your strength and his. Jiang Chen was a little worried. After coming out of the Immortal Emperor's tomb, Jiang Yuan had only faced opponents below the Immortal Monarch realm. He hadn't fought a high-level opponent yet. "If I can't get rid of him, I'll be a disgrace to the immortal ape race." Jiang Yuan grinned. However, the usually honest and straightforward young man now looked a little scary. "How dare immortal monarch realm-mate fight me?" Gaoi roared, as if he was trying to increase his aura. He strode toward Jiang Yuan, his claws glowing with black light slashing at Jiang Yuan's chest. Judging by the length of his claws, if hit, Jiang Yuan's chest would be instantly pierced. Under everyone's gaze, Gao Yi and Jiang Yuan collided. At first, Jiang Chen was worried that Jiang Yuan wouldn't win. But the moment they clashed, Jiang Chen's uneasiness disappeared without a trace. Gao Yi's sharp claws couldn't penetrate Jiang Yuan's thick fur at all. In the midst of the tearing, he was slapped hard in the face. "Is this a battle between spirit beasts?" A female disciple widened her eyes at the scene before her. Cough, cough. Jiang Chen coughed twice, but didn't explain. Although the two of them looked like they were wrestling, every time they touched, it was a collision of immortal qi. Waves of invisible waves spread out. Jiang Chen's side was fine, since they were all above the immortal monarch realm. On the other hand, the illusory beast sect wasn't so optimistic. Apart from a few experts who could hold on, the disciples with decent strength were desperately resisting the waves. A few of them were even almost blown off the mountain. Even some of the nearby immortal mountains could sense the ripples. But they didn't care at all. After all, Jiang Yuan was a spirit beast and didn't cultivate the divination pavilion's cultivation method. They thought the illusory beast sect had obtained some powerful immortal art. Smack! A dull thud sounded in everyone's ears. Then, Gao Yi, who'd been fighting a moment ago, retreated in an instant and crashed into the main hall. The originally grand hall was instantly crushed by him. "What bullshit illusory beast sect? It's just stealing our spirit beast's immortal method!" Jiang Yuan looked at it with disdain and spat again. Gao Yi's figure instantly shrank. However, his body was already buried in the ruins of the main hall and could no longer be seen. "Destroy my sect?" Gao Yuan was instantly enraged. From the collapsed sect, a few more immortal kings appeared. This was one of the strongest people in the Phantom Beast sect. "White-clothed soul control barrier!" Bai Shiyun's robes suddenly fluttered despite the lack of wind as he spoke. The dozen or so divination pavilion disciples behind Jiang Qin instantly took up positions at the eye of the formation. Then, Bai Shiyun's robe suddenly floated up from her body and into the air. Then, a strong wind blew and her robe expanded, covering the entire mountain peak. "These bastards have actually joined forces." Gao Yuan had a bad feeling. He dared to betray the divination pavilion and no longer be a member of the Immortal Mountain Alliance because he knew that after Bai Xianling left, the disciples of the divination pavilion, even if they were immortal kings, would not be able to achieve anything. But now, under the command of Bai Xianling, they were completely different from before. He only had 4 immortal kings, while the divination pavilion had more than 10. Gao Yuan realized that he was no longer a match for this group of people. If he surrendered now, he might still be able to live. If he didn't surrender, the whole sect would be destroyed. "We surrender!" Thinking of this, Gao Yuan immediately withdrew his cultivation and shouted to Bai Xiaoyun, who was standing at the front. "I really want to kill you!" Bai Shiyun's mouth trembled. Why didn't he say it earlier or later? Why did he say it after she used her special skill? This feeling was like peeing halfway and suddenly finding that she had peed on her clothes. If she stopped, she would feel uncomfortable. But if she continued to pee, it would be too disgusting. However, in order not to scare the other sects of the Immortal Mountain Alliance, Bai Xiaoyun suppressed the discomfort in her heart and removed the barrier. "Where are the disciples of the divination pavilion?" Looking at Gao Yuan, Bai Xiaoyun asked loudly. "They are here, they are here!" Gao Yuan quickly said and then waved his hand vigorously. Then, Bai Xiaolan and the others ran out of the dilapidated hall. Seeing this scene, Jiang Yuan scratched his head awkwardly. If he didn't stop and this group of people was smashed to death, it would be really troublesome. But on second thought, this group of people's strength was not bad. How could they be smashed to death? "Bai Xiaoyun, the people of the divination pavilion are all here. It was just a misunderstanding between us. I will definitely come to apologize to you another day." Gao Yuan followed behind Bai Xiaolan and the others and smiled embarrassedly at Bai Xiaoyun. 3 days later, inform all the sects that betrayed the alliance of the Immortal Mountain Alliance to come to the Divination Pavilion. If they don't come, don't blame my master for taking action and making the entire Immortal Mountain Alliance disappear from the immortal world. Bai Xiaoyun snorted coldly and put on her robe. Ah! Gao Yuan cried out. They dared to resist because they found that Bai Xianling was not here. But hearing Bai Xian's words, it seemed that Bai Xianling could come back at any time. That white immortal king, is your master still in the sect? Gao Yuan asked tentatively, and a smile appeared on his face. Of course he is, but he is in seclusion, Bai Xiaoyan said naturally without any hesitation. So Bai Xianling is in seclusion? Gao Yuan trembled in fear. Who is Bai Xianling? She is not weaker than the 3 immortal kings and has the ability to break through to the immortal emperor realm. Now that she has been in seclusion for such a long time, she must be working hard towards the legendary step. And they dared to resist. Thinking of this, Gao Yuan's body went soft. White Immortal King, I will do as you say. But if the other 6 sects do not want to admit their mistakes, when your master comes out of seclusion in the future, you must put in a good word for me. Gao Yuan suddenly said flatteringly. We will talk about it when the time comes. Bai Xiaoyun did not know when her master would come back. It seemed that she would only appear when Jiang Chen was in danger. But at this moment, she still wanted to trick Gao Yuan. Cough cough, our illusion beast sect can not only transform into giant beasts to fight, but our female disciples can also transform into foxes and kittens. They are very cute. White Immortal King, do you want to consider? Gao Yuan did not send a private message. He was determined to pull Bai Xianling to his side. Do you know her? Bai Xiaoyan was not moved at all and pointed at Bai Xiaolan. Of course I know her. She is a female disciple of the Divination Pavilion. She seems to be your junior sister. She is quite pretty. Gao Yuan looked at Bai Xiaolan and said. Chapter 1810. Then I'll tell you another identity. She's the daughter of my master and him. Bai Xiaoyun suddenly smiled and said in a despicable manner. What? This news was simply too shocking to Gao Yuan. He sat down on the ground and could not calm down for a long time. If Bai Xianling's master was Bai Xianling, wouldn't this girl be Bai Xuanling's daughter? Thinking of this, Gao Yuan even wanted to slap himself a few times. Why did he kidnap Bai Xuanling's daughter? He was digging his own grave. White Immortal King, you have to help me. This time, Gao Yuan did not care about his image. He tugged at Bai Xianling's robe and begged for mercy loudly. 3 days later, I hope to see people from the 6 sects at the entrance of the Heaven's Secret Pavilion. Bai Xiaoyun did not give him a chance to continue speaking. After finishing her words, she left with all the people. Several people from the Fantasy Beast sect came up immediately. Get out of here, all of you! I want to be alone here! Gao Yuan shouted at them and finally could not help crying loudly. He regretted that he had agreed to join forces with the other sects, and even regretted that he had locked Bai Xiaolan in his own sect. After returning to the Heaven's Secret Pavilion, Jiang Qin did not mention anything about Emperor Qingji. He only introduced Huafu and Jiang Yuan as friends that he had met outside. You still know to come back? Unexpectedly, Bai Xiaolan did not even look at the two of them. Instead, she looked at Jiang Qin with disdain and said, Your cultivation has improved very quickly. In the blink of an eye, you have become a divine immortal from a genuine immortal. It seems that you have completely forgotten your identity as the pavilion leader of the Heaven's Secret Pavilion. Third senior sister, I think eldest senior brother is more suitable to be the sect leader. Taking advantage of this opportunity, Jiang Qin quickly pushed Bai Xiaoyun in front of him. You see, when he went to save you, he was in high spirits and full of vigor. I even said a few words to save you. In terms of strength and qualifications, eldest senior brother is more suitable to be the sect leader than me, Jiang Qin said as he gave Bai Xiaoyun a thumbs up. He wanted nothing more than to leave the Divination Pavilion right now. Such a poor sect would be emptied out by him sooner or later. Come on, since Master gave you the sect master, he must have his reasons. You just have to be honest. Bai Xiaoyan shook her head and refused. In my opinion, eldest senior brother is the most suitable candidate to be the sect leader. You've been away for so long, yet you didn't come back to update the ranking list. Our divine secret pavilion status in the entire immortal realm has fallen. Fortunately, eldest senior brother sent us a message and we recruited a new junior brother. Bai Xiaolan coldly snorted. Right, let me see where my savior is. Jiangchen immediately became spirited. Sweeping his gaze across all the disciples, he found a shorty. It really is little junior brother. Seeing that this person was only about 12 or 13 years old, Jiangchen was a little shocked. At the same time, he was certain that this child's talent was not too bad. Actually, Jiangchen and I have not completely forgotten about the sect after being away for so long. It's just that we have been delayed by many things. Bai Xiaoyun hurriedly explained for Jiangchen. As he spoke, he reached out and touched his storage ring. The first thing that came out was the storage ring scattered all over the ground. Then came the immortal jade promissory notes that he had taken from Jiangchen's hand. There were more than 10 notes of various sizes. Wow, where did you go to get rich? Eldest senior brother, when you go out in the future, can you take me with you? Seeing the amount of promissory notes, many junior brothers and sisters widened their eyes and said excitedly. Living in a destitute sect like the Divination Pavilion, they had never seen such a large amount. At least he still has some conscience. Looking at the promissory notes, Bai Xiaolan's anger eased a little. Xiaolan, you have all suffered a lot in the overseas Immortal Mountain. You should go back and rest. Let's have a good meal in the evening. It just so happens that Jiangchen and I haven't been back for a long time. Take it as an apology. Bai Xiaoyun distributed the storage rings and kept the promissory notes before speaking to Bai Xiaolan and the others. Okay, eldest senior brother. Bai Xiaolan nodded lightly. Seeing that there were still many disciples in the hall, Bai Xiaoyun said to them, Don't just stand there. When Xiaolan wakes up, tell her what you want to eat. I will go out and buy it for all of you tonight. Okay, eldest senior brother. The group of disciples shouted loudly again. After sending them off, only the 4 of them were left. Eldest senior brother, I want to go out for a while. Jiangchen put away the smile on his face and said in a deep voice. Are you coming back for dinner tonight? Bai Xiaoyan looked outside. The sun was shining brightly. It was just past noon. Let's take a look. Seeing that Hua Fu and Jiang Yuan were about to follow, Jiangchen quickly stopped them. You guys also rest in the sect? I will go by myself. Oh, okay. They knew that Jiangchen wouldn't cause any trouble in the Divination Pavilion's territory, so they didn't follow him out. The place Jiangchen had arrived at was none other than the overseas immortal graveyard. This was his mother's sect outside the immortal world. The stone tablet said that it was waiting for him in the vast wilderness. But after going out, Jiangchen had too many doubts in his heart. Was there any difference between the vast wilderness and the unknown regions of the immortal world? He felt the immortal power of his father. Was that where his mother lived? Jiangchen vaguely remembered that there seemed to be a sect under the mountain. Those immortal lords and immortal kings were more like people from the sect. According to the sect leader of the Heartsword sect, his mother should be a great success immortal king, or even an immortal emperor. With such strength, she must be the sect leader of that sect. But the overseas immortal graveyard was clearly her sect, so why would she establish another sect in an unknown region for no reason? These pieces of information were like a dense fog, entangling Jiangchen's head and making him feel confused. Maybe Brother Murong knows a little, Jiangchen muttered. This was the reason why he came here. Murong Changtian was also an expert with half a foot in the immortal emperor realm. Although he was trapped in the immortal graveyard, he definitely knew more about the immortal world than him. Because of his relationship with Murong Changtian, he entered very smoothly. Looking at those people who were farming, Jiangchen quickened his pace. He didn't want people from other sects to see him. He flew all the way and finally arrived at Murong Changtian's place. Murong Changtian was very happy about Jiangchen's sudden visit. He prepared wine and dishes and busied himself for nearly an hour before stopping. Jiang Chen didn't ask her directly. He didn't want to give her the impression that he had come here just to get information. After 3 rounds of wine, Jiang Chen was already a little drunk. Chapter 1811. Brother Murong, I want to ask, where is the mysterious woman in the immortal tomb now? Jiang Chen asked tentatively. I don't know. Maybe she's at the entrance of the immortal tomb, maybe she's on the continent, or maybe she entered other areas. Murong Changtian sighed and said, Then, does Brother Murong know about the great wilderness and the unknown area? Jiang Chen asked again. Oh? Your cultivation has improved, but you shouldn't have come into contact with this level. Murong Changtian raised his head and looked at Jiang Chen, and asked with some surprise. I heard it by chance. I'm just a little curious. Jiang Chen explained casually. The great wilderness was once included in the unknown area, but it seemed to have been found out by an immortal emperor. Murong Changtian thought for a moment, and then said, If you're talking about the unknown area, it's too big. Even if you add up the continent and the entire sea, it might not be 1/10 of the unknown area. And in the immortal world, there might not be only one continent. Some experts can open up space independently. The immortal tomb is the best evidence. Jiang Chen couldn't hold it in anymore. After listening to Murong Changtian's words, he felt that his mind was even more chaotic. He might as well not listen. Your strength is still very weak. Maybe when you reach the immortal king realm, or maybe when you're close to the immortal emperor realm, you'll naturally be able to sense it. For now, you should cultivate. No matter how curious you are about other things, there's no result. I can't go out of the immortal tomb, so I can't help you investigate. Murong Changtian sighed helplessly. After a moment, he drank all the wine in the wine pot in one breath. With his cultivation, if he was in the outside world, he would definitely be able to do something. Even if it was an unknown area, he would be able to explore it. But now, he could only be sealed in the immortal tomb. As long as he didn't break through to the immortal emperor realm, he couldn't go out. But if it was so easy to become an immortal emperor, then the immortal emperor realm would be worthless. By the way, Brother Murong, the ruins in the immortal tomb belong to that woman's sect, right? Seeing that he couldn't get any valuable information, Jiang Chen changed his question. And Murong Changtian leaned on the table and nodded unconsciously. Do you think she will establish a new sect after leaving this place? Jiang Chen stared at him and asked word by word. Maybe, maybe not. She has been gone for far too long. So long that the people in the immortal burial ground overseas have to rely on portraits to remember her appearance. Those newborn children have never even heard of her legend. They only know that the ruins of the immortal burial ground are not to be casually approached. Murong Changtian shook his head. After drinking a pot of strong wine, even he couldn't hold on without using his immortal energy. Did she say anything when she left? Jiang Chen thought for a while and continued to ask. His mother had left him 2 clues. One was from the immortal graveyard overseas, and the other was from his dream. Now that the 2 clues could be gathered together, Jiang Chen wanted to ask more clearly. She said 2 caddies of beef and a pot of soju wine. Under Jiang Chen's gaze, Murong Changtian slowly opened his mouth. However, the words he said made Jiang Chen so angry that he wanted to flip the table. Seeing that he was indeed drunk and unconscious, Jiang Chen didn't continue to ask. Instead, he got up and found a blanket to cover him. Although Murong Changtian's explanation made Jiang Chen even more puzzled, from a certain point of view, it also became a little clearer. That was, when his cultivation increased, the sect master of the Black Sect would no longer be his opponent. The mystery of the unknown area could be solved, his mother could be found, and the reason why Emperor Qianji protected his mother, and the Black Sky Emperor which led to the fall of both sides would also be clear. Thank you, Brother Murong. Jiang Chen found a pen and paper, left a note, and pushed the door open to leave. Similarly, without alerting the other sects, Jiang Chen quietly slipped out of the immortal graveyard overseas. When he returned to the Divine Secret Pavilion, the night had already shrouded. Jiangchen had just entered the door when Bai Xiaoyan walked out from inside, muttering. She was holding a note in her hand. However, the note was very long. When Bai Xiaoyan walked to the door of the sect, the note had just been dragged out of the hall. Eldest senior brother, what are you doing? Looking at the densely written words on the note, Jiangchen thought that it was some kind of mysterious immortal art left behind by Bai Xianling. He quickly picked it up from the ground and asked, This group of people really didn't treat me as their eldest senior brother. I asked them to tell me what they wanted to eat. While we have enough immortal jades now, we will try our best to satisfy them so that they can eat at night. I didn't expect them to be so impolite. One for each person, there are hundreds of things. Bai Xiaoyan used all her strength to roll the note into a ball and stuffed it into her storage ring. Oh right, you came back just in time. Let's split up. If it was just me alone, I'm afraid I won't be able to come back tomorrow. Thinking of Jiangchen, Bai Xiaoyan quickly pulled out half of the items from her storage ring and stuffed it into Jiangchen's hand. She turned into a stream of light and flew towards the nearest town. What the? Jiangchen looked at the long note in his hand. The densely packed food on it made him dizzy. If he had known earlier, he would have stayed in the immortal graveyard overseas and not come back. He knew that it was pitch black outside. Only then did Jiangchen and Bai Xiaoyan meet up at the entrance of the sect, panting. After distributing the food to each disciple, the two of them lay on the floor of the hall, panting heavily. Oh right, why didn't Feng Yu come back? Bai Xiaolan asked while eating the roasted meat. I heard that you were in trouble and came back in a hurry. I didn't have time to call her. Moreover, her strength is too low. Not only can she not help, she will also worry for nothing. Jiangchen waved his hand and sat up. I really don't know what kind of fortuitous encounter you had. You went from a true immortal to a divine immortal in such a short time. I wonder how Feng Yu's cultivation is now. When she left, she was only a 9th layer golden immortal. It would be great if she could break through to the sky immortal realm. Back then, it wasn't easy for us to snatch her away from the Sun-Moon divine sect. We can't let them look down on us, Bai Xiaolan said to herself. But such casual words were like knives that pierced Jiangchen's heart. He stared blankly ahead and didn't come back to his senses for a long time. Yes. When Bai Fengyu ascended to the immortal world, her cultivation was higher than his. Not only was she a 9th layer golden immortal, but she also had the power of water and fire. She also had the great moon saint physique. This kind of talent was rare in the entire immortal world. But ever since she rushed to the eastern region from the sect in the immortal emperor's tomb, she had been by his side and didn't have any time to cultivate. Chapter 1812. When Jiangchen left the Kunlun Immortal Mountain last time, his cultivation base was still at the 9th stage of the Golden Immortal Realm. Are you obsessed with Bai Fengyu? Seeing Jiangchen staring at Jiangchen, Bai Xiaoyan waved her hand in front of his face and asked. No. Jiangchen came back to his senses and shook his head. He didn't say anything, but he decided in his heart that he couldn't let Bai Fengyu follow him around like this anymore. There was almost an endless amount of work around him. If he returned to the Heavenly Secrets Pavilion, he might be able to focus on his cultivation. If you don't have anything, then eat something. Now that our sect is rich, even if we don't need these things to replenish our nutrition, we have to make up for what we owe before. Bai Xiaoyan took big bites. She looked like she would even bite her fingers if she used a little more force. After eating and drinking to their fill, everyone returned to their rooms to rest. Compared to the silence of the Heavenly Secrets Pavilion, the Outer Sea Immortal Mountain was in an uproar. The sect leaders of the 6 mountain sects had all gathered together. Gao Yuan told them about the situation today and told them that they had to rush to the entrance of the Heavenly Secrets Pavilion 3 days later and apologize to Jiangchen and Bai Xiaoyan to resolve their crisis. Life in the Heavenly Secrets Pavilion was the most leisurely life for Jiangchen. He guided some disciples in their cultivation, and when he was free, he would look at his junior brother and deduce the ranking list. Bai Xiaoyun didn't idle around either. She set aside a portion of immortal jade for the Heavenly Secrets Pavilion's expenses for the next 20 years, and the rest was used to bring some disciples in the sect to make big purchases. From robes to daily consumables, from elixirs and herbs to all kinds of mid-level and high-level immortal techniques, every time they went out, they had to fill their storage rings to the brim before returning. Fortunately, they had nearly 3 billion immortal jade, so all the disciples bought freely. Ever since they entered the Heavenly Secrets Pavilion, they had never been so carefree. In the past, when they bought things, they had to calculate the price so that they wouldn't have the money to buy them even if their robes were torn. But now, each of them bought hundreds of robes. They almost emptied the small town near the Heavenly Secrets Pavilion. In 3 days, the Heavenly Secrets Pavilion was filled with vitality. Even when the disciples returned from outside, they had to stand at the entrance for a while to see if it was the Heavenly Secrets Pavilion before entering. Evening. Dozens of immortal king auras appeared outside the Heavenly Secrets Pavilion. "They're here." Jiangchen was sitting on a chair and looking at the formation Gu Hui gave him. He immediately stood up after sensing the cultivation. When he walked out, all the immortal kings of the Divination Pavilion were gathered outside. "They don't come with good intentions." Walking in front of Bai Xiaoyun, Jiangchen whispered, "I guessed it long ago." Bai Xiaoyun smiled and replied, "They submitted because of Master. When Master is not in the sect, they will naturally rebel. 6 is already not bad, but if we can't even deal with this group of people, I'm afraid Master will be disappointed when he returns." Jiangchen tidied up his slightly wrinkled robes, walked to the door, and pushed it open. "Sect Leader Jiang, according to the agreement, all 6 sects have arrived." What greeted him was Gao Yuan's flattering face. When he was in the sect, he was already scared out of his wits by Bai Xiaoyun. No matter what the other 5 sect leaders said to him, he would never dare to go against the Heavenly Secrets Pavilion. "What sect leader? I think the Heavenly Secrets Pavilion must have lost their minds when Bai Xianling isn't here. They actually let a kid with the cultivation of an immortal realm be their sect leader. I'm afraid this sect is going to decline." Before Jiangchen could say anything, a sharp-looking woman spoke. She was the sect leader of the charm sect, Mei Qinyu. Although she didn't look good, she exuded a charm from head to toe. If a man who had not seen the world or was not firm enough walked past her, he would definitely be captivated by her. "Yeah, it's said that Bai Xianling is in seclusion. Who knows if he's really in seclusion or not? Moreover, although his cultivation is high, it's not 100% certain that he can become an immortal emperor. The chances of him dying are not small." "That's right." People from the other sects also chimed in. They had been secretly observing the Heavenly Secrets Pavilion for a long time. It didn't seem like Bai Xianling was in seclusion at all. "Are you all forgetful?" Jiangchen was a little annoyed. The chattering sounds kept echoing in his ears, which was extremely disgusting. "Fellow junior brothers and sisters, the experts from the sects outside don't seem to put our Heaven's Secrets Pavilion in their eyes. Looks like there's a need to let them see our strength again." Bai Xiaoyun led the group of immortal kings to the entrance of the sect. "Bai Xianling isn't here. Do you really think you're a match for us? It's really shameful to be a disciple of a poor sect like the Heavenly Secrets Pavilion." "That's right. If word gets out, the reputation of our overseas immortal mountain will be tarnished because of you. It's a good thing that the other sects haven't reacted yet. Otherwise, they would definitely break off their relationship with you all today." Even though Bai Xiaoyun was here, this group of people still refused to back down. Jiangchen and Bai Xiaoyun couldn't stand it anymore. Just as they were about to attack, a monstrous aura suddenly shrouded the Heavenly Secrets Pavilion. "I heard that someone said that I'm dead?" With a light laugh, Bai Xuanling's figure slowly descended from the sky. His genial smile and handsome face were enough to attract millions of girls. However, such a handsome person had frightened the immortal kings of the 5 sects to the point that they were trembling in fear. They were all regretting the harsh words they had said just now. "Sect Leader Bai, I've listened to your disciple and brought them here to apologize. However, no matter what I said, they weren't sure. There's nothing I can do." Seeing Bai Xianling, Gao Yuan was on the verge of tears. You can go back. This has nothing to do with you. Standing in front of Jiang Chen and Bai Xiaoyan, Bai Xianling waved his hand at him. Gao Yuan felt relieved and quickly left. Since you've arrived at the entrance of the Heavenly Secrets Pavilion, don't stand outside. Come in and talk. Bai Xianling smiled slightly. Then she turned around and entered the school. Jiang Chen and the others followed her. The training platform, which had been a bit crowded, became spacious again. The 5 sect leaders looked at each other as if they had just eaten shit. Each of their faces was uglier than the other. They didn't know whether to enter or leave the entrance of the Heavenly Secrets Pavilion. However, no matter what, they had offended Bai Xianling again. They had even joined forces to kidnap the disciples of the Heavenly Secrets Pavilion. Facing a person who was half a step away from becoming an immortal emperor, this group of people didn't even know how to breathe. Come in. Why are you still standing outside? Not hearing their footsteps, Bai Xianling asked all the disciples to disperse. He then turned around and smiled at them. Come in. At most, we'll die. That's right. It's worth it to die in the hands of an expert like Bai Xianling. Chapter 1813. Under Bai Xuanling's urging, they could do nothing but bite the bullet and go in. The 5 sect leaders sat on the chairs in the hall. They were very restrained and forced an ugly smile on their faces. It's fine that you sects left the alliance when I was not around. I had a hunch. But you dared to kidnap the disciples of the Divine Secret Pavilion. Even my daughter was trapped by you on the Celestial Mountain overseas. You didn't even cherish the chance that Jiang Chen gave you. Bai Xianling sat at the head of the table with a cup of tea in her hand. She looked at them calmly. Her words were neither angry nor sarcastic. Instead, it was as if she was talking about something very normal. Sect leader Bai, we know that we were wrong. We didn't really want to kidnap you. It's just that we haven't seen you for a long time and we miss you very much. So, we wanted to use this method to lure you out. We didn't hurt the disciples of the Divine Secret Pavilion at all. The group of people immediately knelt on the ground and shouted at Bai Xianling. They did not expect that the jokes that Gao Yuan had mentioned to them a few days ago were all true. At this moment, they did not care about logic. As long as they thought about it, they said it out loud. I'm no longer the pavilion leader of the Divine Secret Pavilion. If you want to beg for mercy, you have to ask him first. Bai Xianling took a sip of tea and pointed at Jiang Chen, who was sitting beside her. Pavilion leader Jiang, we know that we were wrong. Please be magnanimous and let us live. The 5 of them immediately looked at Jiang Chen and begged for mercy. Leaders, you think too highly of me. As you said, I'm just a young man with a divine immortal cultivation level. I'm not even worth a fart in front of you. How can I decide whether you are right or wrong? Jiang Chen shrugged his shoulders, looking innocent. Pavilion leader Jiang, please don't joke with us. What we said is nonsense. Please don't take it to heart. When they heard that Jiang Chen was not a nice person, the 5 sect leaders were even more terrified. Since all of you are begging for mercy, I can't be the bad guy. Seeing Bai Xianling nodding at him, Jiang Chen understood what he meant. He continued, I can let you go this time. But whether you want to leave here standing or lying down, it's up to you. Sect leader Jiang, we have an immortal art in our sect. It's said that one of the 3 celestial kings had comprehended 3 types of fire attribute immortal arts. I'll send it over tomorrow. Sect Master Jiang, our sect has a piece of magic crystal dark iron that has been passed down from generation to generation. This kind of ore is extremely rare in the entire immortal realm. Sect leader Jiang, we don't have any treasures in our sect that can catch your eye. However, we still have 3 billion immortal jades left. If you don't mind, I can send them over tomorrow. Sect Master Jiang. The 5 of them instantly understood Jiang Chen's words. They all racked their brains to think of what rare things they could find in their sections. After all, with a super powerful being like Bai Xianling holding the fort, immortal arts and the like would not be of much use to her. You're indeed Wan Cheng's son. You're really good. Bai Xianling widened his eyes and could not help but exclaim. What he wanted to tell Jiangchen was, he wanted to warn these sect leaders. After all, these people were not weak. They were all celestial kings and above. As long as Jiangchen could use both kindness and power, he would definitely be able to make them submit wholeheartedly. When Jiangchen was in the immortal realm, they would definitely be good helpers, not weak ones. However, he did not expect that Jiangchen would completely misunderstand his intentions. This made Bai Xianling very depressed. Not bad, not bad. Since you're so sincere, I'll let you go this time. However, if there's a next time, I won't let you off so easily. Jiangchen nodded his head satisfactorily. Thank you, sect leader Jiang, for sparing our lives. The 5 sect leaders were deeply grateful. Under Bai Xuanling's instructions, they quickly escaped from the Heaven's secret pavilion as if they were being chased by an immortal emperor. One of the sect leaders was so excited that he even left his shoes behind in the sect and did not dare to come back to pick them up. Master, I'll deal with it according to your wishes. Jiangchen cupped his fists at Bai Xianling. In front of Bai Xiaoyun, he naturally had to give her face. When did I ask you to deal with it this way? Bai Xianling was so angry that smoke almost came out of his mouth. Although the Heaven's secret pavilion was very poor, it was not the kind of sect that would accept bribes. In this way, it was no different from those tacky low-level sects in the immortal realm. Didn't you nod your head at me? Jiangchen felt wronged. I thought you meant that as long as I nodded my head, they would be able to live. So, I did it according to my own way. Little brat, I'm telling you not to go overboard. Bai Xianling could not hold it in any longer and jumped up from his chair. However, when he saw that the sect seemed to have become more luxurious and there were many jade items on the table, he sat back down. It seemed like it was not impossible for him to follow Jiangchen's wishes. Cough, cough. The reputation of the Heaven's secret pavilion and the white-robed immortal king will be ruined by you sooner or later. Bai Xianling coughed awkwardly, feeling disgusted by his own thoughts. Master, you are right. Jiangchen stood up and cupped his fists at Bai Xianling. However, he was looking down on Bai Xianling behind his back. If it weren't for yours truly's help, with your reputation, these people in the Heaven's secret pavilion would have starved to death. This time around, I'll only be back for 2 days to take a look at the sect and guide the disciples in their cultivation. After being away for so long, I kind of miss it. Bai Xianling placed his hands behind his back and walked back and forth in the main hall. Afternoon, Jiangchen met Bai Xianling again at the back of the mountain. At this moment, he was playing the zither. From the sound of the zither, one could hear some longing and sadness. Snap! When he saw Jiangchen walking towards him, Bai Xuanling's hands trembled and broke the strings of his zither. You came back all of a sudden. Don't tell me you ran into a wall in an unknown area? Jiangchen walked up to him and tried to sound him out. From the looks of it, it doesn't seem like you've found my mother. You dare to mock me? Bai Xianling felt a sharp pain in his heart. No, I just wanted to tell you something. This time around, I've brought back 6 billion immortal jades for the sect. There are also quite a number of storage rings and immortal skills. I won't charge you for these things. You've got to find a way to return these immortal jades to me as soon as possible. After all, you're the Grand Master of the Heaven's secret pavilion, and I'm just a representative. Jiangchen shook his head and leaned against the stone mountain. Jiangchen cracked his fingers and said, If you want money, I don't have it. If you want your life, I'm right here. I don't think you have what it takes to take it. Bai Xuanling's fingers were imbued with immortal energy as he carefully adjusted the strings of his zither. Chapter 1814. It's fine if you don't want to pay. Didn't you say that the lives of the 3 immortal kings are in my hands? Jiangchen suddenly laughed coldly and said, When the time comes, I won't even care about you. You can see if I can take your life. Are you threatening me? Bai Xuanling's eyes turned cold. Yes, I am. Jiangchen was not afraid at all. As long as his mother was here, he would be able to control Bai Xianling. I really don't know what to do with you. Bai Xianling sighed. If it's about immortal jades, you can forget about it. This king is very poor, I can't even give you a single immortal jade. Since I have saved your life twice, let's call it even. Damn, how about 3 billion immortal jades each time? Jiang Chen exclaimed in shock. Bai Xianling had made a good deal. At the same time, he lamented that his life was so expensive. Immortal jades or not, they are just worldly possessions. It's good to have them, but it's not a problem if you don't have them. Bai Xianling fixed the strings of his zither, stood up with his hands behind his back and said while shaking his head, You really have the nerve to ask. Jiang Chen could not help but despise him even more. Heaven's secret pavilion was already so poor, but the dignified senior brother of the sect, a half-step immortal king, was still using the lowest grade storage ring. It's about time I should go back. Bai Xianling raised his head and looked at the sky. Are you going to the great wilderness or the unknown region? Jiang Chen was afraid that Bai Xianling would disappear in front of him, so he quickly asked. The great wilderness is an unknown area. It's a very bad place. Ferocious beasts that have existed since ancient times live there. Your mother lives there. But this time, I vaguely found out some information. The unknown region doesn't only consist of the great wilderness. It's even bigger than that. Even I can't sense how big it is. Your mother seems to have left the great wilderness, but also seems to be still in the great wilderness. It's so illusory that even I can't sense it. Bai Xuanling's face was filled with sadness. Every time this matter was brought up, he would feel heartache. Do you think my mother has established a new sect in the unknown region? Jiang Chen felt that he was about to forget everything that had happened in the dream. He memorized it on the inside of his robe and would look at it every day. It's hard to say. Maybe there are cultivators living in the unknown territory, just like... Bai Xianling paused and continued. Just like the relationship between the mortal world and the immortal world. Of course, this is only my guess. Perhaps I'll be able to unravel it after I've truly stepped into the unknown. After saying that, Bai Xianling shook her head and sighed. Perhaps, when your strength increases, you will understand it better than me. After all, she is your mother, and you have a mission to fulfill. Mission? Jiang Chen took a deep breath. He instantly felt the weight on his shoulder become heavier. Don't put too much pressure on yourself. Just go with the flow. Bai Xianling patted Jiang Chen's shoulder. She knew that this might be a little unfair to Jiang Chen. When others ascended to the immortal world, they all started from small sects and grew up step by step. However, Jiang Chen had just ascended to the position, and he had already met an opponent who was stronger than him. He was destined to be different from the others because he had a heavy mission to fulfill. However, it was also because of this that Jiang Chen's cultivation was able to improve rapidly, and he even had the help of so many experts. Bai Xianling knew that even if she did not do anything, there would be people protecting Jiang Chen's safety. Some of them were even stronger than her. No pressure. Jiang Chen shook his head. Other than rescuing Hikari and finding his mother, there was nothing else for him to worry about. That's good. You have to learn how to adjust. Your mother is a powerhouse in the entire world. Even though I haven't seen her for hundreds of thousands of years, I was already attracted to her the first time I saw her. Even though I've traversed the entire continent, I haven't seen a second person who has that kind of temperament. But it's a pity. Bai Xianling recalled, and after a while, she gritted her teeth. But it's a pity that she's my mother. Jiang Chen could not help but chuckle out. I really don't understand why someone like your mother would be together with your father. I really don't get it. Bai Xianling sighed deeply. This was something that she could never understand. What can I do about it? I've been born for so many years. Jiang Chen shrugged his shoulders. Forget it. I'm going to the unknown region now. You just focus on your cultivation and don't cause any trouble. Bai Xianling leaped up and left. He was afraid that if he continued talking to Jiang Chen, he would be pissed to death. Before he left, his voice traveled into Jiang Chen's ears. Now that Gu Hu is helping you, I won't be coming back for the time being. I hope that the next time I see you, I'll be able to find your mother's whereabouts. I might even be able to unlock the secrets of the unknown region. By then, I'll be able to answer all your questions one by one. If your mother really has another sect in the unknown region, I might have to call you young master. Looking at Bai Xuanling's figure leaving, Jiangchen stood at the same spot and pondered over what he said. Although Murong Tsengtian and Bai Xianling did not say it explicitly, they had indeed solved some of the mysteries in Jiangchen's heart. His mother must be in the unknown region, and she might even have established a new sect. Sigh, if only I could ascend and enter directly. Then I wouldn't have to suffer all these. Jiangchen sat on the ground dejectedly. Not long after Bai Xianling left, Jiangchen sat on his seat and stretched out his hand to stroke the zither strings. Bun! Seeing the zither strings breaking again, Jiangchen quickly left. The next day, all the sects in the 5 big mountains gathered at the entrance of Divine's secret pavilion. Although they could no longer sense Bai Xuanling's aura, they did not dare to rebel again. Is sect leader Jiang inside? Mei Qingyu walked at the front and asked with a box in her hand. Sect leader is inside. The disciple looked at them coldly. But at this time, it should be lunch break. You guys better wait. No problem, we'll wait inside. Mei Qingyu nodded her head. Together with the other 4 sect leaders, they tiptoed inside. When they saw Jiangchen lying on the chair and sleeping, they did not dare to move an inch. They did not even dare to breathe heavily. The 5 of them looked at Jiangchen anxiously, waiting for him to wake up. But Jiangchen slept from noon to night. Even though the 5 of them were immortal kings, their legs were trembling uncontrollably after standing for such a long period of time. So comfortable. Opening his eyes, Jiangchen yawned. Ever since he came to the immortal world, this was probably the most comfortable sleep he had. Chapter 18:15. Sect Master, the 5 sect masters from the overseas immortal mountain are all waiting outside. Seeing that Jiangchen had woken up, the disciple quickly went up and said, Didn't I tell you not to call me sect master, call me little? Jiangchen was a little unhappy. It felt weird for his senior to call him sect master, but he suddenly remembered that he was no longer the youngest in the entire sect. Just call me Little Chen, Jiangchen said after pondering for a while. Little Chen, they've been waiting outside for an entire afternoon. The disciple didn't stand on ceremony with Jiangchen. They all knew what kind of person Jiangchen was. Why didn't you call me? Jiangchen quickly got up. They were here to give him treasures, he couldn't neglect them. They saw that you were sleeping, so they kept waiting outside. We didn't think of calling you. The disciple looked outside. Even though the matter had passed, he still felt very unhappy when he saw these sect masters. Let's go out and take a look. Jiangchen quickly went out. Sect masters, I'm really sorry for making you wait. Come in and take a seat. I didn't expect to sleep for so long. It's okay, it's okay. The sect leaders struggled to move forward. When they walked into the hall, Bai Xiaoyun also came in. Mei Qingyu quickly greeted her. This is? Seeing them put the box on the table, Jiangchen asked, pointing at it, as if he didn't know anything. Sect Master Jiang, this is what I promised yesterday. It's the enlightenment of one of the 3 great immortal kings. Sect Master Jiang, there's 3 billion immortal jade notes in here. They said one by one. We've really made you guys spend a lot of money. Just come to our divine secret pavilion and have a seat. We're really sorry for bringing gifts. Jiangchen was overjoyed, but he still looked very calm on the surface. He waved his hand and frowned slightly. The 5 sect masters were stunned in their chairs. What did he mean? Wasn't Jiangchen the one who asked them to bring the things over? Why did it seem like they were the ones who took the initiative to bring it over and Jiangchen didn't know anything about it? Sect Master Jiang, this is just a small token. Consider it our thanks for your magnanimity. In the future, we will definitely continue to be loyal to the Heavenly Secrets Pavilion and you. If there is anything you need, please do not hesitate to ask. We will definitely do our best. Mei Qingyu shot a glance at Jiangchen and spoke with her charming eyes. Us too! Another brawny man with pure black eyes also cupped his hands. Bai Xiaoyun stood up and said to Jiang Chen awkwardly, Leader, could you please come out for a moment? I have something to tell you. Before Jiang Chen could say yes, Bai Xiaoyun stood up and said to him, Grandmaster Jiang, if there's anything else, we'll head back first. Mei Qingyu and the others understood very well. They quickly stood up and cupped their hands, preparing to leave. Either way, the item had already been delivered. As long as they performed well in the future, Jiang Chen would not cause any more trouble for them. Wait! Seeing that they were about to leave, Jiang Chen spoke up. Eldest senior brother, these are all guests of our Heavenly Secrets Pavilion. If there's anything you want to say, don't hide it from them. Just say it directly. After they stopped, Jiang Chen continued. Sect Master Jiang! The few of them shed tears of gratitude. They did not expect that after their betrayal, Jiang Chen would still treat them like this. The 5 of them quickly bowed to Jiang Chen. At the same time, they were filled with endless regret for what they had done before. If Jiang Chen asked them to attack the 3 immortal kings now, they might agree in a moment of hot-headedness. Alright, since Sect Master wants to say it in front of them, then I'll be frank. We only brought 1 billion immortal jade back this time. I'm afraid that it will be used up in a year. At that time, the daily expenses of the sect will be a problem. Bai Xiaoyun's expression was complicated. As she spoke, she kept sighing. This is indeed a troublesome matter. Jiang Chen also lowered his head. The 2 of them fell silent and stood still in the hall. The sect masters looked at each other. Seeing that Jiang Chen and Bai Xiaoyun had no intention of continuing to speak, they understood. Their emotions instantly disappeared without a trace. They even cursed Jiang Chen's 18 generations of ancestors. Sect Master Jiang, don't worry. Our charm cult still has some surplus every year. If you don't mind, we'll give your Heavenly Secrets Pavilion 500 million immortal jade every year. Mei Qingyu forced a smile on her face and said, How embarrassing! Jiang Chen looked embarrassed. If our Heavenly Secrets Pavilion is poor, then so be it. It doesn't matter. Sect Master Jiang, we'll also get 500 million immortal jade every year. Hearing Mei Qingyu say this, the other sect masters also gritted their teeth and spoke. Although 500 million immortal jade was not a small amount, it could be exchanged for a year of the sect's safety. From the looks of it, it was a very worthwhile deal. Since all of you have said so, if I refuse again, wouldn't I disappoint all of you? Then let's agree that each sect can only get 500 million immortal jades every year. If there is one more, then I will be angry. Jiang Chen frowned. With his hands behind his back, he walked around the hall twice. Only then did he reluctantly agree. Since Sect Master Jiang agrees, then we won't disturb you any longer. There are still some matters in the sect that we need to take care of. When Jiang Chen finished speaking, the sect masters immediately turned and left. They were afraid that if they heard anything from Jiang Chen, they would have to take things out again. Thinking of the stupid things they had done before, the 5 of them regretted it so much that their intestines turned green. Not only did they not gain any benefits, they even lost a lot. Moreover, they were seen as a joke by the other immortal sects in the overseas immortal mountains. In the future, they would not be able to raise their heads. Eldest senior brother, you're a little bad. As soon as they left, Jiang Chen took out all the things in their boxes. Kid, you're not bad. You can understand what I mean with just a few words. With their support, our divine secret pavilion will no longer lack immortal jade in the future. Bai Xiaoyun smiled from ear to ear. Do we have any top water and fire attribute cultivation techniques in our sect? After putting away the things they gave him, Jiang Chen asked in a deep voice. No, except for a few cultivation techniques that Master has comprehended. The other cultivation techniques in the pavilion are very low level. Bai Xiaoyun shook her head and asked, Didn't you get the top immortal techniques of different attributes in the Immortal Emperor's tomb? Why do you still need cultivation techniques? I want to prepare for Feng Yu, Jiang Chen said. Her talent is not bad, but since she followed me, she hasn't cultivated properly. I want to call her back to the sect and let her focus on cultivation for a while. In a few days there will be an auction nearby, but I'm not sure if we can get a top cultivation technique. Bai Xiaoyan pondered for a while and said, "Let's go and take a look." Jiang Chen nodded. Chapter 1816. Time flew by. It was time for the auction. Jiang Chen and Bai Xiaoyan rushed over early in the morning. They were afraid that if they were late, they might miss some of the auction items. If there was something suitable for Bai Fengyu, it would be too late for regrets. "Eldest senior brother, is this the auction you mentioned?" Jiang Chen couldn't help but twitch his mouth when he saw the dilapidated state inside. Although this town wasn't far from the Heavenly Secret Pavilion, it was too dilapidated. If everyone inside was moved away, people would believe that it was an abandoned town that had not been inhabited for hundreds of years. Jiang Chen was not interested in participating in an auction in such a place. "Let's try our luck. If you can wait, you can ask Great Elder Su Qian to keep an eye out for you during the next East Region auction. If you can't wait, then it's up to fate." Compared to Jiang Chen, Bai Xiaoyan was in high spirits. When Bai Xianling was still the sect master, they didn't even have the money to come to such a town. "Sigh, since we're already here." Jiang Chen sighed helplessly. The two walked side by side into the town and suppressed their cultivation. Most of the people living here were immortals. They could even vaguely feel the aura of a few golden immortal. Jiang Chen and Bai Xiaoyan's cultivation was too conspicuous. They walked out of the town and saw the place where the auction was. It was a dilapidated 3-story hollow building. It looked like it would collapse at any time. "Cough, cough, it's indeed a little dilapidated." Looking at the situation in front of her, Bai Xiaoyan coughed awkwardly. She only knew that there was an auction here all year round, but she had never been here before. Now that she saw it, she might as well not come. After paying 200 immortal jade for the ticket, the two went to a private room on the 3rd floor. From here, they could clearly see the situation below. "It's not bad to be able to bid for some cultivation methods and immortal spells for our new junior brothers and sisters to use." Bai Xiaoyan crossed her legs. When she smelled the faint rotten smell in the private room, she couldn't help but retch. A place like this might not even have cultivation techniques or immortal arts. Jiang Chen leaned back in his chair. He no longer held any hope for this auction. He just took it as an opportunity to broaden his horizons in his boring life. As the seats were filled. Thus, the auction officially started. Just as Jiang Chen had expected, all the things that were taken out were things that he didn't care about. It was almost impossible to find a cultivation technique that was suitable for Bai Fengyu. After watching for a while, the two of them couldn't help but turn around and leave. They would just treat the 400 immortal jade tickets as if they had lost them on the way. However, before leaving the town, Jiang Chen stopped in front of a small tavern. "Are you hungry?" Bai Xiaoyan glanced at him and asked. "Sometimes, when luck is on your side, you really can't stop it." Jiang Chen's lips curled into a smile as he pointed at a stall at the side of the tavern. "How much are you going to sell this book for?" Jiang Chen walked over and slowly squatted down. He picked up a blue cultivation technique book from the stall and asked. "This is passed down from my family's ancestors. It's a dual cultivation technique of water and fire. If you really want it, give me some immortal jade." The old man extended his withered hand and raised it while shivering. He raised it in front of Jiang Chen and raised one of his fingers. 1,000 immortal jade? Jiang Chen was a little surprised. This price was far beyond his expectations. Although the cultivation technique wasn't very strong, it should be enough for Bai Fengyu now. Moreover, it was of different attributes. If this cultivation technique was placed in a slightly bigger auction, it would cost at least 1 billion. "Yes, if you can't afford it, we can discuss the price again." The old man looked at the cultivation technique book in Jiang Chen's hand, his eyes filled with reluctance. "Can you tell me why you want to sell it at such a low price? Don't tell me you stole it?" Jiang Chen flipped through the cultivation technique book. After seeing that there were no problems, he asked. "In all honesty, I, Old Six, have never done anything sneaky. My family used to have a little reputation in the northern region tens of thousands of years ago. Later, generation after generation, we declined and failed to live up to expectations. The family was squandered and only this cultivation technique book was left. Now I just want to sell it and make a living." The old man shook his head and explained. "Then why don't you sell it in a big town?" Seeing him like this, Jiangchun really couldn't bear to cheat him. "I also want to go, but I don't have any cultivation now. If others see this cultivation technique book, I'm afraid they will immediately kill me and take it away. I'd better sell it here. I'll sell it as much as I can." The old man sighed and said, "Okay, I'll take this cultivation technique book." Jiangchun put the cultivation technique book into his storage ring and took out a promissory note and slapped it on the old man's stall. The old man looked at the promissory note. It was a share of 10,000 immortal jade. Thinking that Jiangchun gave the wrong amount, he quickly got up and looked outside the town. However, the two people had already disappeared into the town. "I really met a good person." The old man was moved to tears. After repeatedly confirming that there was no mistake, he immediately put away the promissory note. If nothing unexpected happened, this amount of money would be enough for him to die. After returning to the pavilion with the cultivation technique book, Jiangchun asked his senior brother to immediately go to Kunlun Immortal Mountain and ask Bifengyu to come back immediately. "When you were in the Immortal Emperor's tomb, didn't you obtain some low-level immortal techniques? Why don't you give it to the disciples of the sect to cultivate? This way, the strength of our heavenly secret pavilion will increase. If we really fight with the sect leader of the Black Sect in the future, it can be considered a good strength." Bai Xiaoyun sat at the entrance of the hall with her legs crossed. Looking at the junior brothers and sisters cultivating on the cultivation platform, she couldn't help but hum a song. "Everyone!" Jiangchun touched his storage ring. All the disciples stopped and gathered in front of Jiangchun. "This time, I brought back a lot of good things. If not for senior brother's reminder, I would have forgotten about it." Jiangchun lightly patted his storage ring. Hundreds of immortal techniques appeared on the stone steps in front of him. "Where did you get so many immortal techniques?" Bai Xiaolan also came with the other disciples. She casually picked up 2 books and flipped through them. She discovered that if they were to be sold outside, each book would be worth at least 10 million immortal jade. And there were hundreds of them in this huge pile. "You don't need to know where they came from. In any case, it's a legitimate method." Naturally, he couldn't reveal the matter of the Immortal Emperor's tomb. He said, "Third senior sister, with so many immortal techniques, our disciples won't be able to digest them all. I'll have to trouble you to recruit more disciples. If there aren't enough rooms, the sect has enough immortal jade to expand." Chapter 1817. Eldest senior brother, I have something to tell you. Seeing that Jiangchun was not going to tell her the truth, Bai Xiaolan grabbed Bai Shiyun's clothes and dragged her into the hall. She then slammed the door shut. "Choose the immortal arts according to your own attributes. If I find out that anyone dares to hide the immortal arts, I'll kick him out of the sect immediately." Without Bai Xiaolan, Jiangchun waved his hand and said loudly, "Thank you, sect leader!" Especially those disciples who had just joined the sect, they all rushed up excitedly. They had joined the Heaven Secret Pavilion for Bai Xianling. Who would have thought that a half-step immortal emperor expert would leave the sect empty? There were even weeds growing in the courtyard. However, now that Jiangchun had become the sect leader, the last bit of discomfort in their hearts disappeared. Seeing that the immortal arts in front of him were gradually decreasing, Jiangchun was so happy that he crossed his legs and stared at them. In a short while, almost all the disciples had obtained the immortal arts. Those who did not get the immortal arts stood together with their senior brothers and sisters, preparing to cultivate the immortal arts together. "Why didn't you take these?" Seeing that there were still a few immortal arts in front of him, Jiangchun asked in surprise. "They don't meet the requirements." The disciples shook their heads. "Oh?" Jiangchun raised his eyebrows and picked up the immortal arts together. However, after he had seen their attributes, he realized that the rest were all of the dark element. Among the disciples of the Heavenly Secret Pavilion, Only Jiangchen had dark element immortal power and immortal methods. None of them were like him, and he was the only one with dark element. I'll take back the dark attribute immortal arts. I reckon that after you've fully comprehended these immortal arts, I'll bring back new ones for you. Jiangchen kept the immortal arts in his storage ring and looked at them. However, if I find out that you're lazy, don't blame me for taking back the immortal arts in your hands. Junior brother, you're the eternal god. An immortal king's senior brother could not help but give Jiangchen a thumbs up. God? Jiangchen glanced sideways. It seemed that he used to be called Tianqin Divine King. Being called a god was in line with his identity. In the hall, Bai Xiaolan put her hands on her hips. Eldest senior brother, what did you and Jiangchen do when you were out? Why did you come back with immortal jades and immortal arts? I've roughly counted them, and they add up to at least 1,000,000 immortal jades. As Bai Xuanling's daughter, it was necessary for her to get to the bottom of this. I didn't steal or rob. I got it fair and square. Bai Xiaoyun chuckled. Did you go to the mercenary group to earn commission? Seeing him like this, Bai Xiaolan was angry. My dear junior sister, even if you've been a mercenary for tens of thousands of years, you still might not be able to obtain these immortal jades. Bai Xiaoyun interrupted her and said, If even Master knows about it, then it must have been obtained through legitimate means. It's just that I can't tell you right now. If you really want to know, go ask your father. After saying this, Bai Xiaoyun slipped out. Bai Xiaoyun! Bai Xiaolan stomped her foot and punched the wall angrily. When Jiangchen distributed the immortal arts, the senior brothers and sisters of the immortal kings began to guide their junior brothers and sisters in their cultivation. On the cultivation platform, new immortal arts finally appeared. You're quite a qualified sect leader. Bai Xiaoyun looked at Bai Xiaolan, who was not far away. Like Jiangchen, she sat cross-legged with her hands on her cheeks and said, If you're interested, I'll give it to you. Feeling the immortal qi spreading out, Jiangchen's heart was bleeding. If not for Bai Xiaoyun, he would have sold these immortal arts long ago. Tens of billions of immortal jades were enough for him to live a carefree life for a while. Even if his father owed him money in the bank, he was not afraid at all. Now that he finally earned a little, Bai Xiaoyun took away a large portion of it. Jiangchen felt more and more that Bai Xianling wanted him to join the Heavenly Secrets Pavilion was a conspiracy. Compared to him, his scams were simply not enough. Junior sister Feng Yu is back. Bai Xiaoyun was about to reject when she suddenly straightened her back. Jiangchen also stretched his neck to look outside the sect. The immortal king he sent out was the first to return. Immediately after, her beautiful figure flashed and rushed towards the main hall. What happened to you? Stopping in front of Jiangchen, Bai Fengyu's hair was messy and her breathing was rapid. Her beautiful eyes were filled with worry. Just as she steadied herself, she kept sizing up Jiangchen. No, nothing happened. Jiangchen was a little surprised. Then why did you suddenly send Martial Uncle to Kunlun Immortal Mountain to tell me to come back immediately? I thought you were in trouble. Bai Fengyu's eyes were suddenly filled with tears. She had cried along the way. This was the first time Jiangchen called her so urgently. She thought that Jiangchen might have met with a mishap and his life was hanging by a thread. He wanted her to come back and see him one last time. Is it very urgent? Jiangchen looked at the senior brother who was walking over and asked curiously. Martial Uncle said that you wanted me to come back quickly. But before I could ask clearly, he left Kunlun Immortal Mountain. I didn't even have the time to greet the Mountain Lord and directly followed him back. While heaving a sigh of relief, Bai Fengyu was also puzzled. Looking at Jiangchen's appearance, he didn't look like he was injured at all. In fact, he even put on some weight. Senior brother, why are you in such a hurry? Jiangchen curiously asked the senior brother who was also gasping for breath. Our pavilion has been giving out good things every day recently. Every meal is also filled with delicacies. I was afraid that I would miss it if I stayed outside for too long, so I was a little anxious. I didn't expect Sister Feng Yu to misunderstand. The senior brother scratched his head Bringing Bai Fingyu into the room, Jiang Chen took out the Immortal Technique book from his storage ring. What is this? Bai Fingyu brushed her messy hair. I just found a cultivation technique book for you. It is perfectly compatible with your current attributes. When your cultivation increases a little more and you reach heaven immortal, I will get you a better one. Jiang Chen stuffed the cultivation technique book into her hands. Why are you suddenly like this? Bai Fingyu's face was slightly red. This seemed to be the only thing Jiang Chen gave her after coming to the immortal world. Senior Sister Xiaolan's words yesterday made me feel a little guilty. When you ascended to the immortal world, you were already a 9th stage golden immortal. You also have the 2 attributes of water and fire in your body. Even your great moon saint constitution has awakened. With such talent, you have been following me without any time to cultivate. It is very unfair to you. Jiang Chen took a deep breath and recalled the words Bai Xiaolan said a few days ago. Until now, he still felt pain in his heart. Are you looking down on me? Bai Fingyu threw the cultivation technique book to the side. Where did that come from? Jiang Chen hurried to ask. You're tuning into the Phoenix Knights YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.